Chapter 1881. If they were to leave just like that, it would mean that they were afraid of devil-killing Heavenly God. If they did not leave, they were also worried that devil-killing Heavenly God would attack them. I've already said it before, if Chen Shang isn't here, it's up to you guys to believe me or not. Devil-killing Heavenly God swept his eyes across the few pill gods. Right now, he was not afraid of anything at all. They had personally witnessed the devil-killing Heavenly God's true strength. Although they were both pill gods and were quite strong, so it was not impossible for them to defeat the devil-killing Heavenly God together, but there was no need for them to do so, and they would also have to pay a huge price. HMPH. Seeing that this group of people had left, the devil-killing Heavenly God returned to the devil-killing Divine Palace. Today, after all that had happened, it would be spread out very quickly. Chen Shang teleported away from the devil-killing Divine City, and was already far away from the battlefield. However, the anger and pressure that devil-killing Heavenly God felt just now had reached him, which made him extremely shocked, and felt that the devil-killing Heavenly God would become a god very soon. Super God Restricted Area, another damned place. Chen Shang sighed. He started to hurry to Super God Restricted Area. The Super God Restricted Area was a very big region. It was said that it took up more than half of the God's realm's land, but it was very dangerous, so no one dared to enter. Chen Shang naturally knew where the Super God Restricted Area was, but he wanted to find a good entrance. Although the Super God Restricted Area was dangerous, it was also the place that many explorers liked to go to the most. Over the years, many safe entrances had already been opened, allowing them to safely enter deeper parts of the Super God Restricted Area. If they entered from other places, they might encounter an unexpected danger and lose their lives. Chen Shang traveled for a few days and saw a divine city. Just as he was about to go over, a white light flashed and a woman dressed in white appeared in front of him. Shui Yi. The one standing in front of him right now was the Long Shui Yi who had been in a deep sleep for many years. In the past, Long Shui Yi was always a mischievous person with a mischievous smile, giving people a sweet and beautiful feeling. But now, Long Shui Yi in front of him, gave off a cold aura. She looked like a lonely and proud winter plum in the snow, filled with a cold and prideful aura, a feeling that prevented others from seeing her for 1,000 miles, making Chen Shang feel that she was a stranger. Are you going to the Super God Restricted Area? Long Shui Yi asked, her voice also become colder. Yes. Chen Shang nodded, and asked with a frown, Shui Yi, what's wrong? Long Shui Yi took a light breath, and his expression became a lot more relaxed. He shook his head. I don't know, that while I was sleeping, I unknowingly recovered some memories. Right now, I feel like I have two types of memories. Chen Shang walked over and fiercely held her in his arms, looked at her deeply and solemnly. Those are not two types of memories but your previous life. But that is already a thing of the past. You are the real you now that you have been reborn. You have to suppress the effects of your previous life's memories on your emotions and personality. Long Shui Yi looked at Chen Shang in shock, then nodded his head. He leaned his head on Chen Zhang's chest and closed his eyes, following Chen Zhang's instructions. Chen Shang lightly patted her back. Shui Yi, you must find yourself again and become my old little naughty dragon. He knew that Long Shui Yi's situation was a little complicated, because the memories of her previous life were only a portion, and they slowly awakened, causing Long Shui Yi's memories to be incomplete. If he inherited the memories of his previous life that could bring about negative emotions, it would be bad for Long Shui Yi. Chen Shang did not want Long Shui Yi to be like before, cold and indifferent, and bear a deep grudge against him. Just like that, Chen Shang hugged Long Shui Yi for an entire day and night, and only after hearing Long Shui Yi's playful laughter did Chen Shang heave a sigh of relief. Little naughty dragon, you scared me to death. Chen Shang pinched her face tightly, he chuckled, and was already feeling assured. Long Shui Yi smiled sweetly, stood up on her tiptoes and kissed Chen Zhang's lips, then smiled, relax, I'm fine now. Chen Shang nodded and hugged her again. He was still very worried that she would become like before. You passed the trial, how did you pass? Long Shui Yi was very interested in Chen Zhang's training. Chen Shang held her hand and walked toward the divine city in front of them. He slowly told her about what had happened in the trial grounds. Ah, it's been decades since we last saw it. Long Shui Yi stuck out his tongue, then laughed. Fortunately, I got something from sleeping this time. I didn't expect my broken divine soul to be so powerful, to actually absorb each other, and gather all of them together, so I didn't have to look everywhere. Where are they? Chen Shang was also very happy, because searching for these remnant souls for Long Shui Yi was also a headache. Now that they had all gathered together, it would save him a lot of time. In the super god restricted area, I died in the super god restricted area back then, where the residual souls were the most. That's why I ended up gathering in there. Long Shui said. As far as I know, the profound WU clothing is inside there as well. Though was created by the 9 divine kings. Profound WU clothing was the first version of the profound WU diamond armor, and it was also the most powerful one. It was created by the 9 divine kings, one could imagine how powerful it was. Chen Zhang's profound WU diamond armor was destroyed during the trial, so when he gathered at 4 symbols divine weapons, he already knew where the 4 symbols divine weapons was. You don't want to enter the ring anymore? Chen Shang asked. I'm not going in, I'm not too weak now. Long Shui waved her fist, and laughed. I'm very powerful now, do you want to try? Long Shui had not slept for so long for nothing, she had indeed become very strong. I don't know where Sister Kilian and the others went. I didn't manage to find them when I went to the goddess city. Chen Shang wanted them to be prepared, because in 2 years, the divine prison would be destroyed and the villains would come running out. Chen Shang told Long Shui about how he offended the pill god and was forced to leave the goddess city. Long Shui said, don't worry about them, Sister Feng will definitely be with them. Maybe they have already started developing secretly, and just want to keep a low profile. Chen Shang nodded, he raised his head and looked at the gigantic city gate, and read the words, Divine City Supreme Forbidden, above the city gate. Back then, this divine city was known as the largest and strongest divine city. Part of Long Shui's memories contained the matter of the divine city. The reason why they called themselves Super God Restricted Area was also related to the Supreme Forbidden Divine City. And right in front of another gate in the Divine City, there was a safe entrance that led to the Super God Restricted Area. Chapter 1882. In this Divine City, there were many experts who went to the Super God Restricted Area to search for treasures every day. They would gather here to prepare and gather sufficient medicinal pellets and to find out where there would be a genius in there. Most of them would use their divine money to buy useful information. Teams of them could be seen everywhere, and it was more likely that they would enter together to survive. The reason why Chen Shang and Long Shui entered the Divine City was obviously not to make preparations, but to check if there were any hidden records left behind by LV Kilian and the others, and to inquire whether they had come here before. They walked around the Divine City and asked a few waiters in the hotels but didn't find anything related to LV Kilian and the others. Strange, could it be that they are not selling pills? Where did they go? Or did they already have enough money? Now, they can hide somewhere and refine a divine pill to raise their strength. Chen Shang looked at the table full of sumptuous dishes, but he did not have much appetite. Long Shui was also nibbling on his food. She and Chen Shang had asked around in the city for at least half a day and found out that the shop that sold purple profound danas and other famous sacred pills had been closed for a long time. After the shop closed, those famous sacred pills had all disappeared, causing many people to feel extremely regretful. In other words, after LV Kilian and the others left, they had not sold any more holy pellets, which made Chen Shang think that they were hiding somewhere. Of course, at this time, the had also spread news of him. As soon as he came back, he crippled Li Zonghan, infuriated the Feng Shen and then went to the devil-killing divine city to refine the black clouds. After that, the devil-killing heavenly god made his move on Feng Shen. Chen Shang and Long Shui did not manage to learn anything about LV Kilian and the others, but they did know that an important matter was that the War God Shrine had sent a group of experts into the Super God Restricted Area. We should be full. We need to hurry up and catch up with the War God Shrine. From the information we gathered, the woman they were hunting was most likely by Ziqian or LV Qinlian. Chen Shang said to Long Shui as he nodded his head. After eating the last dish, he sucked his finger. Chen Shang understood that the woman being hunted was not very strong. It was most probably because of what the profound goddess did, but the War God Shrine had sent out their Sky God level S and a group of profound goddess. Don't you want to enter the ring? Chen Shang asked. Long Shui held onto Chen Zhang's arm, and laughed. No need, I want to see from the outside, my current strength is not weak at all. Chen Shang also wanted to chat and laugh with Long Shui. Since Long Shui had sufficient strength now, he didn't need to worry about anything. Let's go. Chen Shang pulled Long Shui and disappeared from the in a flash, appearing on a patch of black land that was steaming hot. The area was surrounded by volcanoes that were emitting thick smoke. There were quite a few cracks in the pitch-black ground, and one could clearly see those cracks emitting a red light. This is the safest entrance. Long Shui looked around. The lava here made her feel hot. I don't care about random teleportation right now, we should just follow a safe route first, just in case we teleport to a place where we can't escape. Chen Shang saw a group of people riding on Frisbee in front of him and confirmed that this was the safe entrance. Back then, Bai Ziqian, Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao had left together, but LV Qinlian was going with little Lizzie. Chen Shang thought that the one who used the poison was very likely Bai Ziqian, because LV Qinlian and little Lizzie would be together with him. Although it was surrounded by volcanoes, it was indeed a safe entrance. After Chen Shang and Long Shui carefully passed through, they saw a fiery red haze shrouding the land in front of them. After passing through this red fog, you will be able to see the super god restricted area. As long as you follow this warm stream, you will be able to pass through safely. Chen Shang pointed ahead, as he and Long Shui saw many people get off the flying discs and enter on foot. A dense red haze covered the world. There was an unending amount of thunder and lightning, causing it to be filled with endless danger. According to the guide for entering Super God Restricted Area, as long as one followed the warm flow of the volcanoes, one would be able to enter the Super God Restricted Area safe and sound. With a relaxed expression, Long Shui held hands with Chen Shang and stepped into the red haze. Even though blood-red lightning constantly flashed inside and eerie howls came from inside, Chen Shang did not sense any danger inside, as it was indeed very safe. This Super God Restricted Area is also a place to escape. Many people who have offended the Great Shrine would try their best to drill into this place. Although it is very dangerous inside, it is better than being hunted outside. Long Shui looked around. This place is still covered by the red fog like before, I wonder what changes are going on inside. Only now did Chen Shang remember that Long Shui was once a powerful divine beast in the Beast Divine Palace, she might even be someone else from the Great God level. Shui, do you know about the matters concerning the Beast Divine Palace? You should be from the Beast Divine Palace. Chen Shang said. Yue told me this. She was the one who ran out of Beast Divine Palace. Yes, back then only Beast Divine Palace gathered a large amount of powerful beasts, but they were all taken care of in the end, ha. Long Shui shook his head. Regarding this matter, I only have a fragmented memory. It gives me a headache just thinking about it. Chen Shang laughed, and caressed her head. Then don't even think about it, I will help you retrieve your incomplete memories very soon. The area that the mist covered was very wide, and was like a barrier that separated Super God Restricted Area. Chen Shang wanted to try to use his spatial teleportation, but he was affected by an unstable, strange power, which was why he did not try. It was reasonable to say that after he used the Six Realms power, his use of the spatial laws would become even stronger. But right now, he was still unable to use it in this red fog. This Super God Restricted Area was initially a place of chaotic battles between gods, and after the war, they were enveloped by a mysterious power, causing the place to be extremely dangerous and mysterious. Moreover, there were a lot of armor of inherent equipment left behind by strong gods scattered everywhere. There were also a lot of geniuses and treasures, causing a lot of people to come here to participate in the treasure-seeking trials. 3 days later, Chen Shang and Long Shui finally cleared the blood-red fog, and a cold current suddenly attacked them, causing them, who possessed a powerful physique, to shiver. What a terrifying cold power! Long Shui said as his brows furrowed, how can this be? Super God Restricted Area has become a world of ice and snow. This place was extremely beautiful in the past, it shouldn't have been like this even after the battle. Chen Shang could not help but shiver. With the Supreme God Bonus in this state, wouldn't it be even worse if his other bodies were weaker? He and Long Shui had already seen many people lying on the ground, frozen in front of them. Chapter 1883. In order to prevent himself from being frozen in such pain, Chen Shang channeled the Chuangzhou fire in his body to protect himself as well as to release the space domain at the same time, isolating him and Long Shui from the cold outside. This kind of ice-cold power is too terrifying. What exactly is the reason for it? Chen Shang could not help but ponder. He looked at Long Shui. Do you have any impression of him? Long Shui shook his head. No, when I was dying, this place was at most a little shabby, but there should still be a lot of trees. I never thought it would become like this. Let me feel this cold energy. I feel that it's a bit strange. You can feel it for yourself. Maybe you will be able to discover something. Long Shui told Chen Shang to leave the space domain. After Chen Shang withdrew, he only felt a little cold because he had already used the flames to warm his body. I don't see anything wrong with it. Chen Shang took in a few deep breaths of cold air, and felt nothing special in his body. There are two types of icy cold power here, although both of them are icy cold power S. They all have different special abilities. For example, one of them possesses the power to revive. As long as you cover one object, you can absorb the energy of heaven and earth to strengthen yourself, causing the air here to become colder and colder, while the other type constantly devours the other icy cold power S to strengthen and then release even stronger cold energy. Long Shui said. Chen Shang crouched down and grabbed a piece of ice, crushed it with great force, and then used flames to burn it. Then, using his spirit essence to examine it, he discovered that there were indeed two threads of origin power wrapped around it. The two different icy cold power S relied on each other, causing the super god restricted area to become so cold over the years. There must be a source. As long as we can find the source, we'll be able to figure out what's going on. Long Shui's face suddenly became serious, as though this matter was very important to her. Chen Shang took out the jade tiger that the devil-killing heavenly god had given him. Sensing that jade tiger was trembling slightly, he pointed the jade tiger in several directions, and one of the directions shook the most violently, indicating that there was someone he needed to look for. Let's go find our friends from devil-killing heavenly god first. Nodded. Helping the devil-killing divine palace escape was a top priority, so Chen Shang had no choice but to put aside the matter of finding Bai Ziqian. Moreover, once the group of experts from the war god shrine entered, there was no further news. Chen Shang and Long Shui realized that the other people who had entered were actually walking in the same direction as them. Furthermore, they were all in the same group as well, so they didn't recognize any of these small teams. At first, Chen Shang and Long Shui thought that their identities had been exposed. This group of people were following them, but after they deliberately slowed down, the 100 of them still headed towards that direction. After walking for a good half a day, Chen Shang and Long Shui finally understood that there was actually a small city built out of ice in front of them. Chen Shang and Long Shui had not asked around about anything after entering the super god restricted area, so they did not know about this small city. The buildings of the small city were all made of ice. Some were tall, some were short, all were very solid. The roads were made of white ice, and the entire city was covered with a vast expanse of white. Chen Shang and Long Shui walked along an ice path as they passed a shop. Suddenly, they saw something that made them feel as if they were struck by lightning. That thing was really the profound being that they were very familiar with. In the 9 heaven worlds' mysterious profound cold ancient realm, there were many of these profound being, and this type of profound being contained a very strange cold energy. These profound being had a very strong defense that could block soul consciousness from entering. If these profound being were to be broken through, there was a definite chance that a genius earthly treasure would appear inside. Back then, Chen Shang had used the Chaos Divine Eye to look at this kind of profound being and obtained a lot of treasures. Seeing that the profound being had appeared here, Chen Shang and Long Shui both had a wild guess that this might be the profound cold ancient realm. Profound cold ancient realm was also originally very beautiful, with a large number of strange flowers and herbs, because she became like this after a godly battle. And super god restricted area became like this just because of a godly battle. No, back then the white tiger said that that place was frozen only later on, and when the god battle began, it started much earlier than Qi Shi and the others. Chen Shang frowned. So this isn't the same place. Long Shui nodded his head. After I was reborn in 9 heaven world, my profound cold ancient realm had not been frozen yet. That was only when the ice was sealed later on, and the ice was also sealed due to the death of a god who used cold energy. Or perhaps it's too godly. Quote. However, this kind of profound being should be caused by the same type of cold energy. There must be a connection between these two places. Chen Shang faintly felt that this place had a path to the profound cold ancient realm. It was a mysterious path that led to the 9 heaven world. Long Shui nodded. It's possible, I can only wait until I retrieve my complete memories. I sensed it, it's somewhere in the vicinity. Chen Shang looked at the profound being in the shops. He was looking at them with the Chaos Divine Eye, and Long Shui was the same. Back then, she was the one who passed down the Chaos Divine Eye to Chen Shang, so she was very proficient in it. This one has something. Long Shui sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang, and the voice carried pleasant surprise. Can you tell what it is? It's an inferior grade divine medicine, beast strength divine fruit. Chen Shang said. as long as you absorb the beast-type beast core into this divine fruit, you will be able to possess the power of that beast, but it is only temporary. Long Shui nodded. Buy it. As long as it was a divine medicine that Chen Shang did not have, he would buy it. How much is this? Chen Shang patted a piece of profound Bing and asked. 50,000 gold coins. Since you asked, you should have asked. If you're lucky, you might get more than 50,000 gold coins in return. Even 500 million is possible. An old man chuckled. Chen Shang nodded his head. Even though this is my first time here, I have long heard of it. He bought 3 pieces in one go. After giving him the divine money, the old man broke the record without Chen Zhang's permission. After the profound Bing was broken through, it became a pile of dust, the same as what was found in the profound cold ancient realm. This is divine medicine. Just as he was about to pick it up, it was taken away by Long Shui. The old man's face was filled with regret as he looked at Chen Shang unwillingly. This is a divine medicine. Chen Shang laughed. Of course I know, I never thought my luck would be so good. The old man said with a sad face, your luck is too good. This small city can sell ice for at most 3,000 yuan a day. Sometimes, you can't get any treasures out of it for a month and you can get some divine medicines. The old man's startled shout had already spread throughout the entire small city. Many shops selling profound Bing-s had rushed over. They initially did not believe it, but after seeing the old man's regretful face turning green, they immediately believed it. If they sold a piece of profound Bing-s with divine medicine inside, they would do the same. What divine medicine is it? Take it out for me to see. Let's open our eyes. It's been a long time since I've talked about the treasures that came out of the ice. Chen Shang and Long Shui were surrounded by a large group of people, as though they would not be able to leave until they took out some divine medicine to open their eyes. Long Shui took out the beast spirit fruit, and said, did you see that? It's just this fruit, I don't even know what kind of divine medicine it is, can you let us go now? When everyone saw it, they could not tell what it was. Long Shui kept the fruits well. After the crowd dispersed, they suddenly saw a group of people rushing over. Seeing this group of people, Chen Zhang's and Long Shui's heart jumped, because they were the experts of the War God Shrine. The divine medicine is here, I want to take a look as well. A youth who was walking in front said. As expected, the War God Shrine sent out their gods. The profound goddess had 20 of them as well, which was a very strong force, while the youth walking in the front was a super profound god. He was the kind of man who wanted to become a god, and was not weak at all. Young Master Yuan, it's this man and woman. That divine medicine seems to be of high quality. The old man pointed at Chen Shang and Long Shui. Young Master Yuan of the War God Shrine was very famous here because he had been here several times. Every time he had come, he would buy a large number of profound Bing. After young Master Yuan walked over, he looked at Chen Shang and Long Shui, and his gaze finally fell on Long Shui's body. Long Shui and Chen Shang had changed their appearances and looked like ordinary people, but young Master Yuan's gaze towards Long Shui was strange, as if he had seen a treasure. It's a dragon, but I can't see what it is. Clearly, young Master Yuan had sent him a mental message, telling him to confirm the matter. Young Master Yuan laughed. A dragon, and a female dragon at that. That's great. If we catch her, she'll definitely be better than the God of Fortune's ice dragon. I want her to become my female slave. Hearing that, Chen Shang and Long Shui were enraged. They knew that young Master Yuan's status was not low, if not, the heavenly god would not listen to him. Let's go. Chen Shang pulled Long Shui and immediately teleported away, but he was blocked by the god. This god from the War God Hall wasn't an ordinary god either, he was actually able to determine the direction of Chen Zhang's teleportation. Long Shui immediately entered Chen Zhang's ring. Both she and Chen Shang had not expected that young Master Yuan and the God of Heaven would actually be able to see through her true form. You are all members of the War God Shrine. Why would you do such a despicable thing? Chen Shang said in a heavy voice. We are only catching dragons, not humans. How can this be considered despicable? Aren't all beasts supposed to be so easily caught? Young Master Yuan saw that Long Shui had disappeared, and was not anxious at all. He laughed, that twin dragon is pretty close to you. Hee, after snatching her away from your side, seeing you in such pain, I will be even more happy. Chapter 1884. The ice dragon was now the mount of the god of fortune, and Black Turtle had been chased before. Now that he knew there was a female dragon, forget about young Master Yuan from the War God Shrine wanting it, Even profound God with a little strength wanted to help him. I won't let you take her away. Chen Shang looked at the surrounding profound God. Although they were all profound goddess from the war god shrine, he did not put them in his eyes. Young Master Yuan laughed. I, Yuan Tailiang, will definitely get what I want. If you know what's good for you, obediently release her and come into contact with the master-servant contract. This is your last chance. The old man selling the profound being said, you should hand over the dragon. Young Master Yuan is the eldest son of Bai Zan, the pill god of the war god shrine. You cannot offend the super profound god. Chen Shang had already clenched his fists tightly. Making him hand Long Shui over was tantamount to letting him die, something he couldn't do. If you hand over the dragon and join the war god shrine, I'll give you a good position. Young Master Yuan had already walked over, while the god of heaven behind him released a strong divine might, wanting to intimidate Chen Shang. Chen Shang said coldly, what if I don't give it to you? Young Master Yuan sneered, you won't die even if you don't give me one. But I will catch you and cut your flesh off bit by bit until you give me one. Young Master Yuan wanted to do it himself, because Chen Shang posed no threat to him at all. After all, there was a powerful heavenly god behind him, and if anything went wrong, he would be able to stop him at such a close distance. I will shout 3 times, 1, 2, 3. After young Master Yuan shouted, he took out a sharp sword and was about to attack, but then something strange happened. Chen Shang suddenly disappeared and his body released a terrifying sword intent. God-killing sword. The face of the war god shrine's Empyrean god of war paled. He wanted to attack, but it was too late. Chen Shang, who had suddenly disappeared, appeared again, but the sword in his hand had already pierced into young Master Yuan's chest. His voice was filled with anger. He bellowed, if you all take a step closer, I will destroy his divine deity. I, Chen Shang, will keep my word. This person was actually Chen Shang. The surrounding people subconsciously scattered, and they knew that the terrifying sword intent they had felt just now was the god-killing sword. Something that can't withstand a single blow. Chen Shang pulled out his sword, and slapped young Master Yuan fiercely. After that he punched him in the chest, and said to the heavenly god who had an ugly expression, let me go, or else he will die. Young Master Yuan was the son of the god of pills. A god like him must rely on the god of pills to advance, so he didn't dare to act rashly right now. Chen Shang grabbed young Master Yuan and teleported away, leaving the small city. After getting far away from the small city, Chen Shang smashed young Master Yuan heavily onto the ground and stepped on his face. I'm crazy, so what if you're the son of the god of pills? I can kill you if I want to. Chen Shang said sinisterly as he trampled down with his foot mercilessly. He had trampled on young Master Yuan's face until it was unrecognizable. Young Master Yuan shouted, return your divine deity to me, return your divine deity to me. Otherwise, my father will lead the entire war god shrine to kill you, and even destroy your devil-killing divine palace. PFF'd. Chen Shang kicked him on his stomach, I'm the least afraid of threats. If you want to return to divine deity, then go dream on. Chen Shang beat him up badly, then bent down and activated soul-absorbing devil spell on him. He searched through the memories in his head and quickly found what he was looking for. It's indeed Zekion, Chen Shang thought. That group of people from the war god shrine were really chasing after Bai Zekion, but Bai Zekion was alone, she was not with Su Meiyao and the others. Bai Zekion had obtained a very powerful poison, which had killed a super profound god in the war god shrine. This young Master Yuan also wanted to use that poison to protect himself, so he suggested to personally capture Bai Zekion. Go to hell. Chen Shang brandished the god-slaughtering sword and pierced it towards the terrified young Master Yuan, releasing a large amount of flames. At the same time that young Master Yuan's body was penetrated, the flames also entered his body, causing him to unceasingly howl and churn. Just as Chen Shang was about to leave, he sensed the aura of the god of heaven approaching him, so he immediately teleported. However, the god of heaven released a burst of power that interacted with his spatial passageway, making it very unstable, causing Chen Zhang's teleportation to fail. Seeing that half of young Master Yuan's body had been burnt and was dying, the god of heaven was enraged and threw a punch towards Chen Shang. Not good. Chen Shang dodged hurriedly, but the blood-red palm that flashed past in an instant followed him and struck his body in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. When the palm landed on Chen Zhang's body, he felt as if the sky was spinning and his body was about to explode. If not for the power that Long Shui had channeled into her during that critical moment and fused with his body might have already exploded. Chen Shang laid on the ground, spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood before he slowly crawled back up. He was only a middle-stage profound god, and profound god and the gods were split into different mountains and rivers. He did not know how many times stronger they were than him, and it was already a miracle that they were not destroyed after being angrily attacked by him. The god of heaven was right next to young Master Yuan, checking the situation. Suddenly, his body trembled as he shouted in anger, "Young Master Yuan is dead." Chen Shang laughed coldly. "It's good that he died. Who asked him to seek death? You have to die too." The war god shrine's deity let out a crazy roar. The surrounding ice cracked open and began to shake violently. Large amounts of ice began to crack and explode. It was as if the ice itself was boiling. Chen Shang immediately turned around, took out his 6 realms mirrors, and then, the god of heaven mercilessly threw a palm at him. The violent palm power whistled through the air, ruining all the tall ice mountains nearby. This showed just how powerful that palm attack was. 6 realms mirrors, it's all up to you. Chen Shang quietly held onto the 6 realms mirrors, and used all his ability of spatial energy, using the spatial laws to teleport away. PFF'd. Chen Shang spat out a mouthful of blood. The force of that palm strike was too strong, just the incoming pressure was unbearable. "Let's go, I'm also heavily injured." Long Shui shouted. Her divine soul had fused together with Chen Zhang's. The 6 realms mirrors in Chen Zhang's hand suddenly released a burst of white light that wrapped Chen Shang up, and in a flash, it left the area when the palm attack came. "Don't even think about escaping." The heavenly god looked around, trying to find any trace of Chen Shang, but he could not find anything. Previously, Chen Shang had brought young Master Yuan here, and he could sense where young Master Yuan was. Chapter 1885. The war god shrine's deity left while carrying half of young Master Yuan's corpse. This matter wasn't entirely his responsibility, but his heart was still heavy. After he returned to the war god shrine, he reported all that had happened, causing the hall master to be angry. After all, young Master Yuan was the son of his only pill god. The news of Chen Zhang's appearance in the super god restricted area immediately spread. Feng Shen and a few other pill gods who had been looking for Chen Shang also rushed over. In addition to this, there was also a large group of powerful war gods from the war god shrine. Feng Shen did not go by himself, but had also brought a large group of Wealth Divine Palace's war gods with him. What was unknown was that the Hell Devil Emperor had also sent a group of experts there, and capturing Chen Shang was something that the Hell Devil Emperor had been wanting to do for many years. He would definitely not allow others to rush to the front, and if the Hell Devil Emperor did not want to deal with the devil-killing Divine Palace, he would have personally gone there himself. Inside the devil-killing Divine Palace, when the devil-killing Heavenly God heard this news, he could not help but scold. "This brat Chen Shang, how did he come up with such a stupid thing again?" Sigh. Wang Jinshi said, "We cannot blame him. The battle god shrine's kid, Yuan, is indeed rampant. If they were to meet, it would not be strange for a conflict to occur." Devil-killing Heavenly God nodded his head. "I hope he can find my old friends, if not, our devil-killing Divine Palace will be completely destroyed." Chen Shang used the 6 realms mirrors to obtain a large amount of 6 realms power, opened up an extremely stable spatial passageway, and successfully escaped. However, both he and Long Shui were severely injured. Especially the powerful palm attack from the heavenly god behind them, it almost tore his and Long Shui's divine soul apart. Fortunately, they ran away quickly or else the consequences would have been unimaginable. Long Shui asked, "How is it, are your divine soul heavily damaged?" Chen Shang sighed. "It's quite serious, I almost dissipated, it seems like I will need a long period of time to recover, although my body is also heavily injured, but my body's self-recovery ability is very strong, and will recover very quickly." Long Shui said, "I was also severely injured, I did not expect that guy to be a god. It's too scary, luckily you ran very fast, or else we would all die." Thinking back, Chen Shang still felt a lingering fear. How terrifying was it for the god of war, who was inside the war god shrine, to attack with all his might and anger. "My broken divine soul is just around the corner. If you have a good look, go over there and take a look." Long Shui said, "I'll heal up first." Chen Shang opened up a very deep cave in an ice mountain. After entering, he sealed up the cave and started to heal his injuries. He took out the 6 realms mirrors, absorbed the 6 realms power and used it to nourish his own divine soul. He did not have any good healing panacea, so he could only use this method. Chen Shang used up all the 6 realms power stored in the 6 realms mirrors in an instant. It would take a month for him to fill them up again, but his injuries did not improve at all. This is bad, my divine soul injuries have not healed even after 180 years. I don't even have a pill to heal my wounds right now, and I'm in a damned place like super god restricted area. Chen Shang took out a few divine soul healing pellets, but because the grade was too low, they were all useless. He looked at his own divine soul. It was dispirited, like a skinny old man who was lifeless and on the verge of death. As long as his divine soul was severely injured, no matter how good his physical condition was, he would not be able to use the 6 realms power, and his strength would be greatly weakened, because divine soul was like the heart and brain of a divine sense sea. Use the 6 realms mirrors to try and see if it can bring your divine soul back to before you get injured. The 6 realms power can control many different types of laws and you need to use the time laws to reverse your yin and yang. Long Shui said, my injuries aren't too optimistic either, but I'll be able to find my broken divine soul, and then I'll be able to immediately recover. Had thought about using the 6 realms power to reverse the time. However, he did not have the time laws, and did not know how to do it, so the only way to break through it was to rely on the time changes in the 7 devils slain Kung Fu to comprehend it. It was extremely difficult, not to mention repairing his divine soul's injuries. I can only try. This is the only way to quickly treat my injuries. Chen Shang nodded his head. The god-murdering sword techniques he was using and the devil-killing heavenly goddess he was using both had a little bit of usage of the time laws, so he was not completely clueless. Chen Shang held onto the 6 realms mirrors tightly, and studied the wondrous methods inside the 6 realms magic Kung Fu, searching for the method to reverse the flow of time. Father, we really want to become enemies with Chen Shang. He had already eaten the 9 Qi divine fruit long ago, so it's impossible for him to hand it over. Moreover, for him to obtain the 9 Qi divine fruit, it's only because his own abilities are outstanding. Yi Qin looked at the surrounding Ice Emperor and said. Originally, she did not plan to come here. Because she was afraid of Chen Shang and did not want to get involved in this anymore. Dan God Yi sighed. I am only here to take a look, it is equivalent to saying that I care more about this matter. I cannot let others say that my Dan God Yi has been robbed of the divine medicine, but I did not do anything, so others will think that I am afraid of Chen Shang. I was just beside him the last time he attacked Li Zonghan. I felt that he could kill me at any time, and that kind of feeling was really scary. I didn't wish for father to oppose him at all. Quote. The Dan God Yi nodded his head. I understand, Chen Shang must have gone somewhere in these 80 years he's been missing, which is why he has become so powerful. Furthermore, I found out that Feng Yuji has quite a deep relationship with him, so I must have definitely helped him a lot in the dark. Old Yi, Chen Shang probably did not come to the super god restricted area to kill his son, nor did he come to seek refuge. He must have a reason, because he was in the devil-killing divine palace before. Dan God in blue costume suddenly flew over and said. That's right, the devil-killing heavenly god must have let him come. Previously, the devil-killing heavenly god had stayed in the super god restricted area for a period of time, so we were just expressing that it would be best to look at the situation clearly. I don't want to get into a conflict with Chen Shang, it won't be good for me. Even if Yi Qin did not say it, Dan God Yi still had that thought. Although Chen Shang had killed Li Zonghan and the Dan God in blue costume did not have anything to do with each other. At this time, all the passers-by who were rushing into the super god restricted area had their own ulterior motives, but Feng Shen and unwearying fighting Dan God truly hated Chen Shang to the bones. Chapter 1886. Han Diyuan was an outstanding war god within the war god shrine, and was extremely loyal to the war god shrine. Although young Master Yuan died this time, he did not receive any blame, but he had a new mission to give him, which was to cooperate with the search for Chen Shang. Chen Shang and Long Shui were heavily injured by Han Diyuan, and Han Diyuan had been hiding his strength very well. Neither Chen Shang nor Long Shui had been able to see that he had the strength of a god. Even though Chen Shang had already escaped, his divine soul had already been severely injured by me. Even if he had divine pellets, it would have taken him at least half a year to recover. When he fled back then, he had obviously overused his strength, so he must still be hiding in super god restricted area right now. He stood on top of a huge frisbee. On top of this frisbee were a few white-robed old men, as well as an unwearying fighting Dan God filled with killing intent. Although Han Diyuan was a god, he couldn't help but feel a bit panicked under the powerful aura of these upper heavenly goddess. He even more so, did not expect that the 4 great elders of the War God Shrine would all take action this time. Chen Shang, I must capture him and refine him. Unwearying fighting Dan God was furious. He was a rare genius of the War God Shrine, a famous war god and also a pill god. Among the pill gods, he was publicly acknowledged to be the strongest. A white-robed old man said, "We have to find Chen Shang quickly. Hell Devil Emperor, Feng Shen and the others have all come, and a few old fellows from Fire Divine Palace are also secretly entering the Super God restricted area. They are probably here for the God slaughtering sword on Chen Zhang's body." In this place, only Han Diyuan had come into contact with Chen Shang, so it was more likely that they would be the first to find him at the War God Shrine. Chen Shang sat inside a huge ice mountain with his eyes tightly closed. He was bitterly pondering on how to use the 6 realms mirrors to combine various kinds of cultivation techniques and unleash a power that could reverse the flow of time. The 6 realms power already contained the power of the time laws. However, I do not know how to use it. Although there is a power inside the 6 realms magic Kung Fu, I do not understand it. Chen Shang only used 2 days' time to unravel a method to apply the time laws from the 6 realms magic Kung Fu. The mental cultivation methods written on the 6 realms magic Kung Fu were extremely few. Chen Shang shook his head and relaxed his mind. In the 2 days he had spent researching the 6 realms magic Kung Fu, not only did his divine soul injuries not improve, they even showed signs of worsening. I can only find an opening from the 7 devil-slain Kung Fu and the god-murdering sword techniques. Chen Shang sighed. He realized that his body was still too weak, and actually could not block the attack of the God of Heaven, which resulted in his divine soul being heavily injured. With the help of the philosophic stone, Chen Zhang's progress quickly had a breakthrough. With the help of the 7 devil-slain Kung Fu and the god-murdering sword techniques, he barely understood the incantations for the 6 realms magic Kung Fu's time laws to circulate its energy. This indeed required the cooperation of 6 realms mirrors, and it would even cause some damage to the 6 realms mirrors. Just this once and let me pass this time. Chen Shang also didn't wish for the 6 realms mirrors to fail. If he had to, he would definitely not use it in the future. He allowed the 6 realms mirrors to enter the collapsed majority of his divine sense sea world, floating above the frail and dispirited divine soul. Following his understanding of the mental cultivation method, he slowly activated the calm 6 realms power in his divine sense sea. Originally, his divine soul had suffered heavy injuries and thus was unable to circulate large amounts of 6 realms power. However, since the 6 realms mirrors was currently in the divine sense sea and he was using the secret method inside the 6 realms magic Kung Fu, the 6 realms power in the divine sense sea began to surge crazily and gush forth. The 6 realms mirrors released a burst of white light, shining on the dispirited divine soul. Following that, it started to spin quickly, and started to reverse the flow of time. Chen Shang could control as he pleased the portion of time that needed to be reversed, and he could not return the memories within the divine soul back then. Otherwise, he would lose a portion of his memories for a period of time, which was why he had used the secret method inside the 6 realms magic Kung Fu to isolate a portion of the memories. When the 6 realms mirrors was operating, it required a large amount of 6 realms power, but Chen Shang had a lot of divine sense CS, and currently, they were frantically being drawn out, so in a short period of time, more than half of them were gone. Not even an hour had passed before the 6 realms power was mostly already sucked by the 6 realms mirrors, and at this time, the 6 realms mirrors also stopped. Chen Shang also saw that the divine soul inside the divine sense sea had become lively and strong, recovering to the point where he was not injured at all. The 6 realms mirrors is damaged. Chen Shang saw that there were cracks on the 6 realms mirrors and felt his heart ache. He did not expect that in such a short period of time, the 6 realms mirrors would be heavily injured. Long Shui said, the reason the 6 realms mirrors received even more serious of damage before, should also be because of overuse. If the time between your reversal was not too far, and it was only by a few days, then there shouldn't be any problems. Chen Shang gently caressed the cracks on the 6 realms mirrors' surface, then putting it into his body. The 6 realms mirrors could self-repair itself by absorbing the 6 realms power, and it was only a crack on the surface right now. The injury wasn't too serious. Originally, it would have taken Chen Shang 100 years to recover from his serious injuries. However, with the help of the 6 realms mirrors, he recovered in just a few days. Let's first recover the 6 realms power in my body first. When Chen Shang was cultivating, because his divine soul had been refined and baptized by the six realms power, after his divine soul absorbed the spirit chi of heaven and earth, it would be converted into six realms power. A drop of the six realms mirrors' six realms power contained the same amount of energy as the 10 great vats he had condensed. The difference was many times greater. If there was a day he could cultivate his divine soul to the level of a six realms mirrors, he wouldn't need to rely on the six realms mirrors anymore. Chen Shang rested for 2 days and had already recovered to his peak state. Afterwards, he left the ice mountain and set off to search for the incomplete divine soul that Long Shui had left behind. Long Shui was still heavily injured, she needed to absorb the remnant soul to recover. In that direction, it should be deeper within the super god restricted area. Be careful, Long Shui said. Chen Shang did not know that there were already a few groups of rankers that had entered the super god restricted area to specially capture him, but he was still extremely careful as he released a very large spatial sensing domain. After more than 10 consecutive teleports, he was already far away from the safer region outside. If not for the transmission array, even if the god of heaven was flying, it would take more than 10 days to reach him. It's colder in the depths. Chen Shang released the space domain to prevent the cold from invading, but he still felt a bit of coldness. The place he was at was covered in snow and cold wind. He couldn't see anything, so he could only rely on his senses. From time to time, large chunks of ice would fly out and strike the ground, causing the ground to tremble. This sort of place isn't for humans to stay in at all. Chen Shang muttered to herself as she continued walking in the direction that Long Shui had pointed, because her residual soul was nearby. Furthermore, she wasn't sure of her exact location, so she was sure that it would allow Chen Shang to go according to her perception. Chapter 1887. Chen Shang advanced in the blizzard, and slowly approached the location of Long Shui's residual soul. There's a mountain ahead. Chen Shang passed through the snowstorm and saw a black shadow in front of him. It was actually not an ice mountain, but a mountain of black stone. Strangely, even though it was a black mountain, it should be covered by a layer of white snow in this snowy land. However, it was black. Because of the violent snowstorm, Chen Shang did not see the shape of the black mountain clearly, he only knew that it was extremely huge. It's right inside. Open a path and enter. Long Shui said. I don't have any memories related to this mountain and I don't know what's going on either. Chen Shang arrived at the side of the mountain and hacked down a few times with the god-slaughtering sword. He thought that he could pierce through the mountain like he was hitting an iceberg, but he didn't think that there would be no reaction at all. So sturdy. Chen Shang did not believe in evil. His god-slaughtering sword was extremely sharp, even though it could not be channeled with divine power or six realms power, it was still able to deal with these stone mountains. He used the strongest power in his body and crazily hacked at the black stone mountain, but there was still no reaction. He was so strong that he could not understand. Just what is this material made of? Even if it's a top stone, they should at least have some traces of it after being destroyed by my god-slaughtering sword. However, these stones do not have any traces at all. Chen Shang touched the mountain wall and actually felt a sense of warmth. In a place where a true god could freeze to death, this mountain was actually warm. It was truly strange. Use fire, use your strongest flame. Long Shui said. I have some impression that this is the way to use this kind of stone. Chen Shang withdrew his god-slaying sword and punched towards the mountain wall in front of him. An extremely scorching flame condensed and his fist became as red as the iron ore in a furnace. Bang! When Chen Zhang's fist landed on the mountain wall, it actually caused a violent explosion, causing his chest to feel a burning pain. He lowered his head and saw that a piece of his skin was burnt and his flesh was torn apart. What's this? Chen Shang sat in the snow and wind, the skin of his entire body was covered with cuts and bruises, his strong physique was unexpectedly injured to such an extent, if his body wasn't a very strong profound god, he might even be smashed. Shouldn't this be a good thing for you? Long Shui laughed tenderly. You should be able to refine this thing into a pill, this is the best material. Chen Shang nodded his head in excitement. He had been looking for these ingredients, although he had used other ingredients to concoct explosive flaming pills and destruction pills, their effects were not very good. They did not have much of an impact on the powerful profound god. This kind of natural explosion would be able to cause injuries all over his body. If it was compressed after he refined it with his heavenly alchemy, the power would definitely be even more terrifying. It might even be able to fend off profound god or even the gods. Right now, Chen Shang not only wanted to open a path to the center of the cave, he also wanted to move the entire mountain away. Let's go in first. Chen Shang waited for a long time, the injuries on his body had already healed, so he walked over again. Just avoid them. Chen Shang punched again, but this time he released space domain in time, preventing the energy from the explosion from hitting his body, so that he wouldn't be injured again. After half a day had passed, Chen Shang had already opened up a very long path. His fist that was ignited in flames violently struck against the pitch-black stone wall, blasting it away with a wave of wild and scorching firelight. "We're here." Long Shui suddenly emerged from the ring and entered the vast white space in front of him. The moment Long Shui entered, the light disappeared, and she saw Long Shui sitting cross-legged on the ground. The remnant soul had already entered her divine sense sea world, and she was in the process of fusing with him. "I need some time." Long Shui sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang. "Seal the entrance." Chen Shang nodded his head. Along the way, he had also collected a lot of black broken rocks. He had originally wanted to refine them, but he was afraid that the explosion would affect Long Shui, so he could only use some divine deity to do so. Right now he was refining the divine deity of the profound goddess, so he wanted to refine the divine deity of several profound goddess together to condense them into a pellet. He was already very familiar with the method to refine divine deity into pellets. Even though he had refined a few of the profound god's divine deity into pellets at the same time, he did not feel any pressure at all. In half a day's time, he had refined them into a pellet using the magic method furnace. The elixir here could be considered a divine elixir. However, this kind of divine elixir would not make the rounds. Otherwise, he would be hunted down by a great shrine. After Chen Shang swallowed this pellet, he entered into a quiet cultivation state as well. As for Long Shui, who was wrapped in a layer of sparkling and translucent white light, he gave off a cold aura, which startled Chen Shang, who had just entered a meditative state. He was worried that Long Shui would become ice cold. Seeing that Long Shui was calm, with a sweet smile on her delicate face, Chen Shang felt more at ease, and continued to cultivate. The super god restricted area was very big, it would not be easy to find Chen Shang here. However, as long as there was a direction, the Feng God realm and the War God Shrine would not give up. Was also an important target of the War God Shrine, so her current situation wasn't too bad. She had originally been hiding at the edge of the super god restricted area's danger zone and was extremely safe, but she didn't know that her whereabouts would be exposed, causing her to have no choice but to hide everywhere. In 10 days, Chen Shang was able to refine the pill, and at the moment, his refining speed was extremely fast, even he himself was surprised. However, Long Shui was still quietly sitting there while fusing with her soul fragment. Chen Shang did not disturb her and took out a set of heavenly god's divine deity. This god was one of highest old devil's disciples. When he first went to hell, the old man he met with younger 9 girl was killed by him when he found an opportunity to obtain this precious heaven god's divine deity. Damn it, I'm already a super profound god. I wonder if this thing can help me become a god. Chen Shang used the power of space to isolate the divine deity and prevent the highest old devil from feeling it. I need to cooperate with the 6 realms mirrors. Chen Shang looked at the 6 realms mirrors and noticed that the crack on its surface had already been repaired, and there was even a 6 realms power inside it. Weird, 6 realms mirrors normally only fill up once a month before, but now that they have been repaired, it's full. Chen Shang felt that it was very strange, but after thinking about it carefully, he finally understood. It was because he had broke through to super profound god in the last 10 days, so the 6 realms mirrors also broke through with him. When 6 realms mirrors fused with his body, their potential would increase along with his own cultivation realm. Chen Shang took 5 days just to refine this deity's divine deity to melt, and following that, to refine it to remove the impurities within, and then compress it to condense multiple steps. It would still take a lot of time. It's really not easy. It took me 2 months. Chen Shang looked at the light purple pill in his hand, sighed, and then placed it in his mouth. If I want to become a god, I need to condense an innate divine deity, as well as a divine soul. This also means that I have an additional innate divine ability. Chen Shang had already found out that the most basic characteristics of gods were that they had 2 divine soul s, 2 divine deity s, and that their first set of divine soul s were normally hidden very deeply. The last time Chen Shang killed that disciple of the highest old devil, she did not find his second divine deity, which should be hidden within the divine sense sea. Possessing 3 divine deity meant that they were gods, and 4 divine deity meant that they were upper heavenly goddess. 5, 6, and even 7 divine deity meant that they were gods as well. As for how many divine deity there were, Chen Shang had never understood them before. So devil-killing heavenly god and Feng Shen were both upper heavenly god, but devil-killing heavenly god's divine deity was much higher than Feng Shen's, so her strength was much stronger. To condense the second divine deity, one must first have divine soul, so after Chen Shang ate the pellet, he focused on condensing divine soul, and after condensing divine soul, he would need to strengthen his divine soul to a certain degree, and then he would be able to cultivate his own divine deity, which would then be considered as breaking through to the Empyrean God realm. When condensing the second divine soul, you better choose a good cultivation technique to cultivate with. This way, your second life ability will be closely related to the cultivation technique. Long Shuiyi suddenly said to Chen Shang. Got it, Shuiyi, how are you now? Chen Shang asked. When I completely fuse with them, I will have twin divine deity. We can talk about the details later, so it would be best for us to become gods as soon as possible, because the situation at Divine Prison is very bad. After Long Shuiyi finished speaking, he no longer communicated with Chen Shang. At this time, Chen Shang was wondering what kind of method he should practice to condense the second divine soul. He had mastered the 4 great taboo magic and a little bit of it. The heavenly body is the only taboo magic that I haven't cultivated. Penalty Heavenly God said that cultivating this technique will have serious consequences, but I will go to the Supreme Divine Palace in the future. The old man there might help me eliminate the serious danger. Chen Shang felt that it was imperative to strengthen his body right now. That way, even if he met an even stronger god, his body would at most be injured. As long as his divine soul wasn't injured, it wouldn't shake his very foundation. Otherwise, like before, he would have to use up 100 years of time to recover even if his divine soul was heavily injured once, not to mention that he would need to use 2 sets of divine soul in the future. The heavenly body was used to strengthen the body. Penalty Heavenly God said that it was very scary, but it must be powerful, which was why it caused Sky La to come into play. I'll first cultivate the heavenly spirit Kung Fu to condense my divine soul. In the future, it won't be too late to use other taboo magic as well, but I don't know what kind of special abilities my innate ability will have after using this heavenly spirit Kung Fu to condense my divine soul. Chen Zhang's previous life ability was the Creator's Fire, hence it was extremely useful for him to refine pills. Chen Shang was running out of time right now, because the devil-killing Divine Palace couldn't hold on for too long, and he had already been in here for quite some time. Chapter 1888. To condense divine soul was an extremely important matter, and one must not be careless. However, Chen Shang wanted to use the heavenly spirit Kung Fu that he had never cultivated to condense his soul, so in the eyes of some old god, this was definitely an extremely hasty method. Chen Shang was also clear on this point, because it would affect the quality of his second divine deity. If the second divine deity was affected, his overall strength would also be affected. With his current situation, he did not have much time to think. Cultivating the heavenly spirit Kung Fu would allow him the most basic of defensive capabilities in the future. Very quickly, Chen Shang comprehended some key points of cultivation from the heavenly spirit Kung Fu. He had already started to refine the pellet made from the divine deity of the god, using the heavenly alchemy to refine the internal medicinal power, and then use the heavenly spirit Kung Fu to merge it into his body. Not long after, his body began to change. Sometimes it was cold, sometimes it was hot, sometimes it was black, sometimes it was white, and sometimes it even released flames. Chen Shang himself didn't know about this change, because he was currently focused on circulating the special energy to refine his body. If he used the heavenly spirit Kung Fu to circulate that force, it would produce a very weak and unique soul power. He channeled this soul power into the divine sense C. Each cycle only contained a sliver of his soul power, and to condense the second divine soul, he needed to condense this sliver of soul power together, and in the end, fuse it into a divine soul. At first, he had even planned to give up. As he didn't have much time, he wanted to find a friend from devil-killing heavenly god in 1 or 2 years. However, after he cultivated for more than a month, he realized that his divine soul had already begun to take shape, and the speed at which he channeled that energy was also getting faster and faster. Previously, he could only circulate 10 cycles in an hour, but now, it was 100 cycles. Looks like condensing divine deity isn't a problem. This heavenly spirit Kung Fu is indeed scary. Chen Shang never thought that his speed would be so fast. He paid close attention to the situation. There were other reasons that could allow him to condense divine soul so quickly, and one of the most important reasons was those 6 realms power. Every time it started a cycle, the 6 realms power in the divine sense C would consciously circulate with someone, and the wisp of soul energy that was produced would also contain the 6 realms power. Even though this divine soul is growing at a slow pace, I feel that once it condenses into a divine deity, it might even be stronger than my own. Chen Shang had this premonition. As he became more and more familiar with the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, his progress became faster and faster. Almost every second, he would be able to circulate that surge of energy in a cycle and produce a trace of soul power, allowing his soul power to enter the divine sense C unceasingly. His 6 realms power was also being rapidly consumed, and was being replenished by the 6 realms mirrors. Adding on the strong medicinal power of the divine deity pellet, he did not need to stop and replenish it. Divine soul completed. Chen Shang saw that the divine sense C was growing a baby-like divine soul. As he continuously poured in more and more soul energy, the baby-like divine soul was growing at a visible rate. In the past, when he first cultivated in divine soul, passing a stage was extremely difficult, but now, it had gone by with a whoosh. Before long, his divine soul grew to be the same as an adult's. It's time to condense divine deity. Chen Shang became excited. As long as this divine soul could condense divine deity, he would let this divine soul be responsible for cultivating the heaven's body, and his first divine soul would be to cultivate the heavenly alchemy. With 2 sets of divine soul, he wouldn't waste any effort at all when cultivating in various types of taboo magic. He could even allow another set of divine soul to cultivate it every day and night while the other set of divine soul could maintain an abundant amount of mental energy. This was the benefit of having 2 souls. Chen Zhang's second divine soul was condensed out from the 6 realms power, which was why it was so powerful and he did not know it yet. I want to become an Empyrean god. When Chen Shang saw that his divine soul had matured, he was immediately filled with confidence. His body continuously flickered with white gaseous flames, and in every instant, a surge of boundless energy circulated within his body. As it quickly strengthened his body, it also gave birth to a strand of soul energy that could condense divine deity. Long Shui, who was at the side, was completely covered by ice. If Chen Shang had opened his eyes at this moment, he would have definitely been scared silly, because the layer of ice surrounding Long Shui was exactly that kind of profound being. Therefore, no matter how big the commotion caused by Chen Shang during cultivation, he did not disturb Long Shui. Under normal circumstances, the more he cultivated, the slower his progress would be, but Chen Shang was exceptionally fast. After he condensed his divine soul, it only took him 10 days to form his own divine deity, which made him doubt whether or not this divine deity was his own. This is the heavenly god level's other divine deity. What is this innate ability? I don't think I have cultivated it yet, so I can only continue. Chen Shang did not sense the second divine soul's innate ability, so he was not considered a god. However, the 6 realms power in his divine sense C, as well as his first divine soul had become much stronger. As long as he could cultivate the second life ability, he would be able to become a god. At that time, his 6 realms power and first divine soul would increase by leaps and bounds. Chen Shang did not have high requirements for his second life ability, he only hoped to be like the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, and gain the powerful ability to defend his fleshly body. Last time, he was heavily injured by Han Diyuan's divine soul, and there were already shadows in his heart. Chen Shang had already trained in this strange black stone mountain for half a year. When he sensed the birth of the second life ability, he suddenly opened his eyes and revealed a happy smile on his face. I'm already an Empyrean god, haha. Chen Shang almost wanted to punch and shatter this black mountain, only then did he remember to look for Long Shui. Where is he? Chen Shang looked around. Originally it was a black stone room, but now it was surrounded by ice, and he did not feel Long Shui's qi at all. He thought that the cold air had seeped inside, causing the room to be covered in ice. However, he carefully felt that the inside of the stone room was releasing a weak cold air. Chen Shang looked in that direction. That was the place where Long Shui had originally been sitting, and upon closer inspection, he discovered that there was an ice cube that was emitting silver rays of light inside, only that there was a very large layer of ice outside. Hiss! Chen Shang took in a breath of cold air, because he realized that the ice in the stone room was not ordinary ice, but rather the kind of profound being. This kind of profound being was actually produced by Long Shui's body. Chen Shang thought back to when Long Shui had regained a bit of consciousness and turned ice cold again, causing him to worry secretly. I can only wait patiently. Chen Shang was indulging in his thoughts because these profound being were created by Long Shui. The reason why the super god restricted area S and the profound cold ancient realm S had become so cold was because of those profound being. Chapter 1889. In order to protect Long Shui, Chen Shang did not go anywhere, nor did he do anything else. He only condensed spirit liquid as he watched Long Shui, who was sealed in ice. 10 days later, when Chen Shang heard the sound of cracking sounds, he became excited. Bang! With a loud sound, all of the ice in the room shattered. A beautiful lady in white floated out from the ice and landed in front of Chen Shang like a leaf. Chen Shang looked at Long Shui as his heart thumped in his chest. He was very worried that Long Shui would become the female devil who was not even recognizable to her parents, but the current Long Shui had a very different aura than before. But Long Shui suddenly revealed a sweet smile, and stuck her tongue out at him. Little scoundrel, I'll scare you like that. If you see my true strength, wouldn't you be scared to the point of pissing your pants? Long Shui laughed. Chen Shang sighed. This was just a false alarm. He pinched Long Shui's face. Quickly tell me, what are these profound being? When you were cultivating, you actually condensed profound being. Long Shui hugged Chen Shang and whispered, I almost didn't come back, and I almost turned into that ice-cold appearance. Chen Shang kissed her cheeks, and laughed. It's not good now, I'm scared too. Long Shui raised his head and looked at Chen Shang, pouting his lips. Chen Shang understood her meaning, so he moved his lips closer and kissed her passionately. After they passionately kissed for a while, Long Shui said in a soft voice, Little scoundrel, I want to dual cultivate a live slain method with you, you have been waiting for too long, right? S eyes immediately lit up. Previously, he and Long Shui were already extremely intimate, but they were still unable to break through the last level. He knew that Long Shui had his difficulties, but the time was ripe. Little dragon, you've been waiting for a long time, right? Chen Shang laughed sinisterly, while the long skirt she was wearing had already fallen off, revealing her enchanting jade body caused Chen Zhang's breathing to become heavier. See how I'll deal with you. Long Shui smiled and pounced towards Chen Shang, pouncing Chen Shang to the ground. The ground also had an additional layer of soft white carpet. Who's afraid of who? Chen Shang laughed, then rushed in, straight towards Huang Long. Long Shui's divine soul had already merged with his body, and the two of them were hugging each other with incomparable satisfaction, speaking words of love in hushed tones, as if they had already forgotten why they had come to the super god restricted area. Get dressed, we still have work to do. Seeing Chen Shang being ready to make a move, again, Long Shui scolded and patted his face. Chen Shang also anxiously dressed himself and asked, what exactly is going on with the profound being? There shouldn't be a need for you to hide anything from me right now. When Long Shui was wearing the clothes, it was very seductive. One could tell that she was giggling on purpose and knew that she was teasing Chen Shang on purpose. Chen Shang snickered and went over to touch her body a few times. That's the power of my second life's sacred art. Of course, that caused the super god restricted area to become like this, and was the second divine soul and divine deity of my primordial spirit to be destroyed once again. However, I have already created it now. Long Shui sighed. The fellow who fought against me back then also destroyed her cold divine soul, thus this place had two types of icy cold power. I never thought it would become like this, and even affect Nine Heaven World. Profound cold ancient realm was also affected. What's going on? Chen Shang didn't mind it at all. He had already predicted that Long Shui's previous life would most likely have been filled with the strength of the Supreme God. Long Shui said, Nine Heaven World's profound cold ancient realm and this super god restricted area are separated by a very thin spatial wall. Back then, when a large number of Nine Heaven divine palaces gods were surrounded and attacked from that place, there were dozens of heavenly gods, so they broke through the walls of Nine Heaven World and God's realm. The riddle in Chen Zhang's heart had already been solved, which made him feel much more comfortable. Little naughty dragon, you were too godly in the past. If you want to become too godly, how much divine soul do you need to use? Chen Shang asked. Guess. Long Shui mischievously smiled. Speak. Chen Shang pinched her face. It's so easy to guess at 10 divine souls. Long Shui curled his lips. Chen Shang stroked his chin, and said, to condense 10 divine soul, that shouldn't be too hard. I just need a few months to condense a set of divine soul. Long Shui was very surprised, because when she and Chen Shang were dual cultivating, she only discovered that Chen Zhang's body had become much stronger, and did not discover his second divine soul. Chen Shang also did not discover her second divine soul, which meant that he had obviously hidden himself. Of course it's true, my second divine soul's ability isn't to attack, but to defend. Chen Shang said. This sacred art's ability should be called Celestial Phenomenon. Celestial Phenomenon. Long Shui was a little confused. You cultivate the heaven's body, is there a great relationship between your innate ability and the heaven's body? Chen Shang nodded his head. Celestial phenomenon is a transformation of the sun, moon, stars, and wind. Logically speaking, this should be an attack that's more useful, but inside the body of the heavens, this is all just main defense. There is no method to use it to attack. Long Shui said. I know that guy who cultivates the heaven's body, I never thought that he was Penalty Heavenly God's father. When I was still in Beast Divine Palace, Penalty Heavenly God was just a little brat there. Chen Shang asked in shock, Penalty Heavenly God is from Supreme Divine Palace. Long Shui nodded. But he doesn't know, he and Devil-Killing Heavenly God both came from the Supreme Divine Palace, they grew up in the Supreme Divine Palace, but their parents and masters did not tell them about what happened in the Supreme Divine Palace, and only until something happened in the Supreme Divine Palace did their parents send them to the God's realm quietly. The elders in the Supreme Divine Palace have always been in contact with them and have been secretly taking care of them. However, the Penalty Heavenly God and the Devil-Killing Heavenly God are currently in a difficult situation and the elder did not lend a hand. Something must have happened. Devil-Killing Heavenly God and Penalty Heavenly God actually had such history. Chen Shang asked again, what happened to Supreme Divine Palace back then? Long Shui sighed. At the time Beast Divine Palace was exterminated, there was a large difference between Supreme Divine Palace and Six Realms Divine Palace. Some said that they wanted to help Beast Divine Palace, while some said that they were worried about being exterminated, so they opposed it. However, the Beast Divine Palace still survived in the end, but suffered heavy losses and was controlled for many years. The reason why we attacked the Beast Divine Palace back then was mainly to attack the four beasts, the Dragon Tribe and the White Tiger. Previously, when Chen Shang was in the Supreme Divine Palace, he heard from the old man that the Beast Divine Palace, Supreme Divine Palace and the Six Realms Divine Palace were just places where gods gathered, and there was even a superpower that stood above them. That super strong power was obviously related to the disappearance of the 9 Divine Kings, and at the same time caused the entire Beast Divine Palace to almost be destroyed. Chapter 1890. What kind of terrifying person is actually able to cause your Beast Divine Palace to become like this above the 3 Great Divine Halls? Furthermore, the 3 Great Divine Halls are clearly under control. Chen Shang took out the God-slaughtering sword. He felt that this sword was related to those existences. Long Shui laughed. You still remember what Big Sister Kilian said before, that God's realm does not have a divine nations, so she wants to build a divine nations and become the divine nations emperor. Chen Shang nodded. Of course I remember, she has the emperor's ambition. Long Shui received the God-slaughtering sword from Chen Zhang's hands and said, I already had it a long time ago, there were 9 of them altogether. Back then, Beast Divine Palace almost developed into a divine beast nation, which was why he was suppressed. Chen Shang was shocked, 9 divine nations existed, but there was no news about them, this was too terrifying, and it was obvious that they had existed for a long time. Could it be that the 9 divine kings is the king of this 9 gods nation? Chen Shang asked again. The origin of the 9 divine kings had always been mysterious. Long Shui shook his head. No, originally there were 10 divine nations and one of them was destroyed. 9 divine kings is the son of the divine nation's emperor, they are 9 brothers, they built the 9 heaven world and resurrected us, it was to rebuild the divine nations but they did not succeed. The 9 divine kings was so powerful that it was difficult to rebuild it. Having suffered such a huge resistance, it was still unclear whether he was dead or alive. This showed just how strong the 9 gods nation was. Where is the 9 gods nation? Chen Shang asked. Can we go? Long Shui knew that Chen Shang was very curious, so she shook her head. I don't know where it is, I just heard about it. Anyway, those who have hopes of forming the 10th divine nations will be hindered by them. So, as long as there's a little target, the 9 gods nation will frantically suppress them. They don't seem to allow another divine nations to appear, this is a tacit understanding between them. Chen Shang pointed to the God-slaughtering sword and asked, do you know what this is? Devil-Killing Heavenly God picked it up here. Long Shui nodded his head. I do. This sword is from those divine nations. You are currently unable to infuse any energy into it, because there is no divine deity in this sword. The divine deity inside has already dissipated many years ago. High-grade divine weapons are considered the strongest when compared to God's realm. If you can condense divine deity from divine weapons, then it would be called a divine high-grade divine weapon. Right now, your divine weapon is at most a good high-grade divine weapon. Chen Shang took it, and looked at the inside of the sword, and sighed. So that's how it is, there should be a location where divine deity are placed, right? Long Shui nodded. But you must first have divine soul before you can place the divine deity inside. You can help this sword cultivate it out, or you can also find a match. Chen Shang put away the god-slaughtering sword and said, I think all of the 4 symbols divine weapons S should be inside there. I don't know. 9 divine kings S aren't used for fighting, but rather, they have a special meaning. You'll understand when you find them. Long Shui said. I only know that the 4 symbols divine weapons was not created by them, but by their royal father. Let's go out and look for the profound WU clothing now. Chen Shang followed the instructions of the 4 imitation 4 symbols divine weapons S on him and knew that there was one of them. Long Shui laughed. Take this mountain away, you can use it to refine on the way here too. As long as you meet hot flames, this mountain will explode. How are we supposed to take it away? This mountain is quite large, and I'm afraid the ring won't be able to hold it. Chen Shang said. Using 6 realms mirrors S, 6 realms mirrors S are also from storage magic treasure S. Long Shui stood on his tiptoes and patted Chen Zhang's head, then laughed. How stupid, you don't even know how to use this treasure. Chen Shang and Long Shui left the cave, but the snowstorm outside had already stopped, and the ice here had gradually melted, revealing their original appearances. Long Shui said, the power of this world of ice and snow has been absorbed by me. There are a large number of profound being inside my divine sense sea, and I will use it for cultivation in the future. This is mostly my super god realm's power, and a lot of it has been lost after so many years. Chen Shang spread out his consciousness, enveloping this black mountain, and then kept it inside the 6 realms mirrors. The profound WU clothing is in that direction. Once we have them, we'll go find those friends of the devil-killing heavenly god. Chen Shang pointed to a stone mountain in front of them. The cold inside the super god restricted area had already become a legend. It was not as frightening as before, but there were still many profound being buried deep in the ground. These profound being were all formed from the special cold energy that Long Shui cultivated. All these profound being have a spiritual nature, and know how to find treasures of heaven and earth by themselves, then enveloping these treasures of heaven and earth. Some profound being will continuously nurture these treasures of heaven and earth, absorb the spirit energy of heaven and earth, and transform them to cultivate strange flowers and herbs, and then slowly absorb the special energy from these strange flowers and herbs. This way, the profound being will nurture a spiritual body, and these spirits will slowly evolve into life forms, becoming beasts. And some profound being are empty, it's because strange flowers and plants have already nurtured a large number of spirit bodies. Long Shui was very familiar with the profound being at the moment. While walking on the road with Chen Shang, she could also see a few birds and beasts. These birds and beasts had very strong adaptability. After the snow and ice disappeared, traces of a fierce battle could be seen on the ground. Some petrified beast bones and rusted pieces of divine artifacts were scattered all over the place. This showed just how tragic that battle had been. More than half of the beasts in the Beast Divine Palace participated. The ones fighting the Beast Divine Palace were a group of villains from the divine nations. These villains were all imprisoned in the divine prison S. Long Shui took out a damaged lance. Divine nations is very powerful, and this time they will release the people from divine prison once again, making chaos in God's realm. Chen Shang wanted to ask more about the divine prison. Now that Long Shui had said it this way, he understood why. So it turns out that the divine prison was also built by the divine nations, and there were a lot of villains inside. The divine prison is still very strong, but no one can stop the divine nations from opening. At that time, it will be a calamity again, and even the gods of the various divine halls will not know about this. Long Shui said, otherwise, Hell Devil Emperor wouldn't be so foolish as to waste so much time with devil-killing divine palace. Chen Shang could not help but be worried. The whereabouts of LV Kilian and the others were still unknown, and after the divine prison opens it, will it affect the Nine Heaven world? He came from the Nine Heaven world, so he did not want the Nine Heaven world to be destroyed. Chapter 1891. Profound WU clothing were divine armors for protection. Originally, Chen Shang needed it very much, but now that he had cultivated the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, the defensive power of his body had become very strong. He did not need the profound WU clothing and while training in the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, his body would often need stimulation to achieve the best result in cultivation. If you find the profound WU clothing, I suggest that you not use it on yourself. Now that the God's realm is hiding a dragon and the experts are as numerous as the clouds, if it breaks, then you will not be able to understand the secret behind the 4 symbols divine weapons that Divine Lord's old man. Long Shui was a little worried that Chen Shang would provoke an even more powerful enemy in the future and cripple the profound WU clothing that he couldn't replicate. At that time, he wouldn't be able to solve the secret of the 4 symbols divine weapons. When Chen Shang was in the trial grounds, his profound WU diamond armor was destroyed with a single strike. If he found the profound WU clothing, and was unable to help the profound WU clothing cultivate her divine soul and divine deity, then the profound WU clothing's might would be unable to be unleashed. At the very least, the profound god would not have to worry about death due to the cold. However, there were still dangers in this place, and after so many years, Super God Restricted Area had developed many strong special god beasts. Now that there was no snow and ice here, these special god beasts were unable to continue absorbing icy cold power to cultivate, and became unusually manic. Special god beasts that needed to ingest a large amount of icy cold power to maintain their bodies were currently like lost food, so they were hunting everywhere. If the ones who entered the Super God Restricted Area were no match for them, they would only become food. We have to take advantage of this time to get more beast meat, and stock it up. In the future, when the fellows from Divine Prison come out, they will first come here to find this food, and at that time, the special god beast will become very popular. Long Shui saw a giant alligator that was as big as a mountain charge towards her from afar. She licked her tongue and thought to herself that the giant alligator that was crawling on the ground was just like a delicacy. The crocodile looked cumbersome, but when it started running, it wasn't slow. Its pitch-black body covered in armor was like a black shadow, scurrying towards the crocodile from the distance. On the back of the giant crocodile were tens of sword thorns, flashing with cold light and filled with blood. "Do you want me to come or not?" Long Shui said. "Allow me." Chen Shang had already leapt forward, to meet the wild back spikes giant alligator head-on. This giant alligator was a special god beast, its super profound god strength, and the tens of sword spikes on its back were his weapons. When the giant alligator saw Chen Zhang's attack coming towards it, it roared, and the tens of sharp thorns on its back that seemed like swords suddenly glowed with a bloody light, and the sword thorns shot out like dozens of red lights, straight towards Chen Shang. Chen Shang was now a god and there was no pressure in dealing with this kind of special god beast. He only flew over to attract the giant alligator's attack, but he did not attack nor defend. To deal with this kind of attack, I should use the ice and snow constellation. Chen Shang suddenly felt a slight chill on his body, and a layer of frost formed on the surface of his body, causing his muscles to become even more rigid. After Long Shui saw him, he frowned. This guy is using the icy cold power to freeze himself, strengthening his body. This is the same as my profound Bing protection. Chen Zhang's face looked extremely pale, as if he was about to die from the cold. However, he himself knew that although he looked to be frozen, his movements were extremely nimble. The giant alligator's sharp thorns were already fiercely piercing over, and those dozens of back thorns that were flickering with red light cut through the air, emitting whoosh whoosh sounds. They pierced into Chen Zhang's body from the front, back, and even at the places where they pierced into his vitals, one could tell that this giant alligator had a lot of experience with this move. However, when these sharp thorns made contact with the layer of frost outside of Chen Zhang's body, they were unable to advance even a single inch. Furthermore, these sharp thorns were instantly frozen and merged together with Chen Zhang's body, causing Chen Shang to look like a hedgehog. Scorching Sun Heavenly Elephant. Chen Zhang's body instantly went from cold to scorching hot. The sharp thorns that had just been frozen, met with hot again instantly and burned. Chen Shang was quite satisfied with the abilities of his heavenly physique, and he still had many heavenly elephants that he had not used yet. At his current stage, he could only use these heavenly elephants for defense. He took out the god-slaughtering sword and teleported to the top of the giant alligator. With a few swishes, he sliced the giant alligator into pieces, leaving the rest for Long Shui to handle. There are still a lot on the road, it's better to finish it quickly. This kind of cold chi was very special. Just like how she used to envelop the super god restricted area with the icy cold power, Chen Shang understood her intention, which was to attract a large number of special god beasts. In half a day's time, they had hunted several tens of special god beasts. Now that they had arrived in front of a small mountain, Chen Shang could clearly feel that the profound Wu clothing was inside. Other than him, he had no idea that there was a divine tool refined by the Divine Lord in the middle of a small mountain. Although it was a divine tool without divine deity, it wasn't something that the ordinary high-grade divine tools could compare to. I haven't even sensed it, and the inside of this mountain hasn't been infiltrated by the icy cold power either. Long Shui said. Although the profound Wu diamond armor on Chen Zhang's body was destroyed, he had already merged with it before. There was still the special power of the profound Wu diamond armor in his body, so he could still sense it. He walked in front of the mountain and gently touched the mountain wall. He could actually penetrate it with his hand. There was actually a mysterious restriction on the mountain wall. Seeing that Chen Zhang's arm could enter the stone wall, Long Shui also walked over and reached for it, but she could only feel the cold stone wall and it seemed that only Chen Shang could enter. "I'll wait for you here, hurry up and come out," Long Shui said. Chen Shang immediately passed through the cliff and entered inside. He saw the profound Wu clothing. Previously, when Chen Shang had gathered the four symbols divine weapons, he had seen the appearance of a profound Wu clothing. It was dressed in dark red clothes with some black inscriptions, and it was worn by a fake body. Chen Shang walked over, and with just a light touch, the profound Wu clothing turned into a ray of light and drilled into his body, then appeared on his body. Right now, he had no choice but to wear it even if he did not want to. He did not expect the profound Wu clothing was the same as the profound Wu diamond armor, and it actually recognized him as its master. "It's best if we put them in. If those old Empyrean gods recognize them, it'll be quite troublesome." With a thought from Chen Shang, the profound Wu clothing entered his body like the profound Wu diamond armor. Chen Shang walked out, and when he arrived outside, he saw that Long Shui was surrounded by a few big-sized men. Chen Shang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that these men were all super profound goddess. These men were all wearing the same type of armor and had all revealed their sharp and powerful divine blades. From their attire, one could tell that they came from the War God Shrine. It was not strange that the War God of the War God Shrine would find this place after Chen Shang killed young Master Yuan of the War God Shrine. Chapter 1892. Seeing Chen Shang coming out, Long Shui smiled and said to the few big-sized men, "Didn't you guys just say that you were looking for Chen Shang? He is here right now." Because the snowstorm had disappeared, these few burly men were able to enter deeper into the cave. They saw the traces of special god beast being hunted and that was why they followed them here. Chen Shang smiled and asked, "Why have you come all the way here to find me?" The young Master Yuan whom Chen Shang killed before was super profound god, although he was usually a little arrogant, but his strength was genuine and was even killed by Chen Shang with a few moves. These big-sized men knew that Chen Shang was terrifying, but Han Diyuan had told them that he had heavily injured his divine soul, and it would take at least a few decades for him to recover. Even if he did recover, they would still have to rest for a few decades before being able to recover, which was why they dared to come looking for Chen Shang. But now that they saw how energetic Chen Shang was and how he wasn't afraid of them at all, their hearts immediately sunk, because Chen Shang didn't look like his divine soul had been heavily injured at all. "You killed the young master of our War God Shrine. We're here to capture you." A big-sized man mustered his courage and shouted at Chen Shang. Chen Shang laughed. "That's right, that trash called young Master Yuan was indeed killed by me. Do you know why I wanted to kill him? Because young Master Yuan saw a female dragon, he wanted to take her as his mount. However, this dragon was the one that led Chen Shang to his death, so killed young Master Yuan with one slash." Young Master Yuan was asking for death, for he had his own father, the Pill God. He wanted to do whatever he wanted, and wanted to take away Chen Zhang's most beloved white dragon. Only then did these men realize that this beautiful woman in white was the white dragon that young Master Yuan wanted to take away from them. Long Shui laughed. "Last time, young Master Yuan only got killed by Chen Shang because he caught me. This time, it's because you guys want to catch Chen Shang, so it's my turn to take action." The strength of the white dragon beside Chen Shang had not attracted any attention. It was also because it was not very powerful, otherwise Chen Shang would not have been injured at that time. However, the few big men of the war god shrine suddenly felt that this white dragon was much more terrifying than Chen Shang. Seeing Chen Shang and smiling faces, a few super profound goddess hearts suddenly trembled, because the way they looked at them was as if they were looking at an ant. Kill! A bold man suddenly shouted, because he noticed that their spirit power was much weaker than usual. He waved the gold blade in his hand, and slashed towards Long Shui's slender jade neck. The few big-sized men also attacked at the same time, and all of them were actually attacking Long Shui, because they felt that Long Shui was a huge threat and that his divine soul was severely injured. As long as they killed him, they could grab Chen Shang alive and return to receive their rewards. Chen Shang knew that Long Shui could handle it, so he did not make a move. With his hands behind his back, he smiled at the few big-sized men. The blade edge stopped an inch away from Long Shui's slender neck. On the other hand, half of Long Shui's body was already covered in a layer of ice. The few big men who had just attacked suddenly felt their bodies becoming stiff, and then they could no longer move. The cold energy that Long Shui released was extremely similar to the icy cold power which had just disappeared, and it was even more terrifying than the icy cold power of Super God Restricted Area. HMPH. Long Shui snorted coldly. The cold chi made Chen Shang feel as if it was penetrating his bones, and the few burly men also ended their lives in that instant. Long Shui did not even move, he only released the extremely strong icy cold power and froze these upper heavenly god to death. Hurry and take out their divine deity. If you're a bit slower, their divine deity would have been completely frozen. Long Shui turned her head to look at Chen Shang and smiled daintily, the frost on her body instantly disappearing as well. Chen Shang took out their divine deity and quickly refined a few cores of the profound god. The power of your second life ability is to release this kind of terrifying power of the cold profound ice. Chen Shang said. Just now, when he took out the divine deity, he could feel the terrifying icy cold power from inside it. Long Shui nodded. That's right, my ability to eat and sleep is the foundation. As long as I have the ability to eat and sleep, I can cultivate divine deity more easily. Chen Shang looked at the body that had been frozen into an ice cube, shook his head and sighed, your attack was a little too heavy. I had originally wanted to look at their memories, but who would have known that even their divine soul had been frozen? Long Shui stuck out his tongue. The next time we meet, I'll leave it to you. Chen Shang and Long Shui did not know that the super god restricted area was gathering more and more powerful warriors, because the snow and ice suddenly disappeared and the treasures that dropped during the great war between the gods would also suddenly appear. The most dangerous place in the super god restricted area, the snow and ice, had already disappeared, and more people rushed in. Previously, only those with profound god strength could enter, but now, true god stage cultivators dared to follow these old fellows in to broaden their horizons. Chen Shang took out the jade tiger the devil-killing heavenly god had given him and prepared to search for his friend. In this direction, Chen Shang looked ahead. Long Shui was extremely familiar with the super god restricted area, so when he saw the direction, he frowned. That direction is where we are heading towards. Could it be that he has already left the super god restricted area? The devil-killing heavenly god had a few friends, and the one that Yu who was guiding was also the closest. Whatever, let's go take a look first. Chen Shang kept his jade tiger and held Long Shui's hand. Just as he was about to teleport away, he suddenly saw an array pattern appearing in the sky. When Chen Shang saw these runes, he felt that they were a little familiar. He whispered, let me think, I seem to have seen them somewhere before. Long Shui was already on guard. If these array patterns suddenly appeared, something would definitely happen. It's Master, Chen Shang said. When Master uses the Heaven Extended method, he will create this kind of spirit grain. This is the Sky Spill spirit grain. Long Shui frowned. That old lunatic is extremely mysterious. Although I have recovered my memories, I do not know anything about his race, the Heaven Extended method that he used, as well as the ancient books that recorded a large amount of ancient history. These are all things. Suddenly, the number of array patterns scattered in the air increased, and Chen Shang and Long Shui patiently waited for them. They could tell that these array patterns needed to be combined, and would eventually form a transmission array. Huang Jintian's Heaven Extended method was very powerful, and was able to calculate many things. Maybe Huang Jintian came looking for him because he had something urgent, which was why he was making the calculations. This old lunatic's Heaven Extended method is getting stronger and stronger. Not only is it able to find me, it is also able to get these runes over here. It has a certain level of spatial laws. Chen Shang said. Long Shui nodded his head. The heaven-extended method is extremely mysterious. I have only occasionally heard the 6 divine kings say that the heaven-extended method is something even scarier than the 4 great taboo magic. Chapter 1893. After the formation patterns were formed, the array suddenly disappeared in a flash, and an old man in grey robes climbed onto the ground. He was Huang Jintian. Huang Jintian crawled on the ground and shouted, "Brat, why don't you come over and help me?" Chen Shang curled his lips. "Child, stop messing around, get up yourself." Huang Jintian brushed off the dust on his body and stood up. He looked at Long Shui and smiled. "It seems that she has awakened." Long Shui smiled tenderly. "Grandfather, you know about my matters." Huang Jintian walked over, took out the ancient book that only he himself could see, and began to record while saying, "I just found out too, my memories are connected to this book, as long as I can flip the pages at the back, my memories will appear." Chen Shang looked at the transparent book on each page and patted Huang Jintian's shoulder. "Master, you're so strong now." Huang Jintian recorded everything very quickly, and then used that book to knock Chen Zhang's head. He laughed complacently. "No matter what, I'm your master, I'm definitely stronger than you." "Grandfather, why are you looking for him as well?" Long Shui asked sweetly. She had a good impression of Huang Jintian, and she also wanted to know some of his secrets. "Something big. Seeing that the two of you are still so leisurely here, you must not know what is happening here." Huang Jintian looked around and said, "This place was originally a land of ice and snow, but now that the snow has suddenly disappeared, a large group of people are here searching for treasures." Chen Shang said, "The reason why the snow and ice in this place has disappeared is because of her." Huang Jintian scratched his chin and thought deeply, "So that's how it is. I roughly understand it now, looks like the power in profound cold ancient realm leaked out from here." Chen Shang said, "Speaking of important matters, we also have important matters to attend to." Huang Jintian sighed. "Right now, the most important thing is to save that girl surnamed Bai." Immediately guessed that it was Bai Ziqian. Previously, the war god shrine wanted to capture Bai Ziqian, but after he killed young Master Yuan, the war god shrine sent many experts over, and the environment had become so good. Bai Ziqian's ability to hide was not strong either. "Sister Ziqian, huh?" Long Shui asked. Huang Jintian nodded. "It's her, she's Bai Yuyu's big sister. I know that your relationship with Bai Yuyu is very good, so you have to go save her. Right now, she is not only trying to kill her at the war god shrine. All of the major temples wished to kill her as soon as possible." Herm, 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 Chen Shang was shocked. He did not think that Bai Ziqian was strong, and was only slightly stronger with the poison, but these great temples were like this. You guys didn't know, but Bai Ziqian obtained an amazing thing called the Supreme Ancient Poison. Other than that, she also inherited the legacy of the ancient poison god. Huang Jintian's expression became heavy. "I also heard about this and rushed over at the first possible moment. When I saw Bai Ziqian, I confirmed that it was true, so I came to find you." Long Shui's expression changed greatly. How did she obtain it? The legacy of the ancient poison god king is truly extraordinary. No wonder a great shrine wants to kill her. Chen Shang did not know the origins of the ancient poison god king, so he quickly asked, "Is it serious?" Long Shui nodded his head. "Who knows, maybe the 3 great temples will send out their gods to confirm. That is an incredible thing. The ancient poison is the ancestor of all poisons, and back then, only the ancient poison god king knew how to use it to poison a large number of strong practitioners to death. Finally, she was killed by a coalition of many forces. How did Bai Ziqian get hold of it? No wonder she was able to poison war god's expert to death." Chen Shang replied, "I don't care about that, I just want to go save her. Master, how is she now?" Huang Jintian said, "She is currently in the super god restricted area now, and has been sealed by a barrier set up by a dozen or so gods. Those gods do not dare to approach her, and she has cultivated an ancient poison body." Chen Shang immediately channeled his spatial energy, preparing to teleport. "Chen Shang, I've finally found you. Following this old fellow is indeed enough to find you." The voice was divine. A handsome middle-aged man floated in the air and suddenly fell down. The pressure he emitted made the ground sink a few meters. A huge round hole appeared in the ground and Feng Shen held his long sword as he floated above the hole. Haha, that old scoundrel, the Devil Slayer, has already been restrained by the Hell Devil Emperor, so today, you will definitely die. Feng Shen laughed maniacally. Huang Jintian looked at Chen Shang with an embarrassed expression. Brat, I'm sorry, I didn't hide properly. How about this little dragon and I will go to Bai Ziqian's side first, after you finish off this bastard, I'll come. Huang Jintian spoke so lightly, as if Chen Shang could kill Feng Shen anytime. Chen Shang secretly despised him, because Huang Jintian's strength was not weak either, and he was also strong, so when the three of them teamed up, the odds of victory was much higher. After all, this Feng Shen was a upper heavenly god, and Chen Shang was just a lower god. You can't save her. Right now, there are more people who want to kill her than there are people who want to kill you. After I finish you off, I'll go back and join the other Empyrean gods in killing her. Feng Shen's sword shook and flames roared out. The huge pit below him was instantly covered in flames. A wave of violent chi surged out from behind him and rushed into the sky, releasing waves of violent roars. Feng Shen was an expert in forging divine money, which was why his flames were so powerful. He was a powerful Empyrean god who used flames. Grandfather, go over to Bai Ziqian first and tell us his location. Leave this place to us. Long Shui smiled blandly, turned into a ray of white light and entered Chen Zhang's serene jade ring. Long Shui could merge with Chen Shang, and they had already cultivated together, so their fusion would become even more harmonious. Huang Jintian wasn't worried at all for Chen Shang, because he already knew that Chen Shang had gone through the sovereign trial and he was in the heavenly god realm. This Feng Shen had only just entered the upper heavenly god's realm, and the last time he was pinched by the devil-killing heavenly god, he didn't even dare to say a word. You guys hurry over. Huang Jintian disappeared in a flash. Chen Shang secretly cursed in his heart, took out the god-slaughtering sword, and said to Feng Shen with a cold smile, let's forget about the old debts and debts. Feng Shen killed Dan Emperor, which was something Chen Shang and Long Shui were extremely furious about. Hence, today, they had to kill Feng Shen to get revenge. Feng Shen's son Li Zonghan was crippled by Chen Shang, and he was extremely angry in his heart. In his eyes, only his son could kill others, but others could never touch his son, no matter how wrong their son was. I should be the one who said that. Feng Shen was worried that Chen Shang would run away, so he released a fire domain that sealed the space. Chapter 1894. Chen Shang was also a fire expert, but he was currently wrapped up by the fire domain, which made it hard for him to breathe. Although this Feng Shen couldn't beat devil-killing heavenly god in terms of strength, it was difficult for Chen Shang to defeat him. You and I will definitely be able to get rid of this guy. We will definitely take revenge on Dan Emperor, said as he gnashed his teeth. She began to fuse with Chen Zhang's divine sense C, allowing him to feel her dual divine soul. Before, when he found out that Chen Shang was here, he rushed over and asked around. Chen Shang was merely around the super profound god, but now, he was at the heavenly god realm. Chen Shang quietly waited for Feng Shen to make his move, because he didn't know anything about Feng Shen and this place was covered by Feng Shen's domain. If he made his move first, after Feng Shen, who was much stronger than him, he would launch his unexpected counterattack. Feng Shen had also experienced hundreds of battles and could tell that Chen Shang was thinking about something. He was much stronger than Chen Shang, so he didn't need to worry about anything when fighting. He took a deep breath, and the flames on his body violently spewed out. Just as he was about to attack, the power of space surged out from outside. This spatial ripple was extremely powerful. As it surged forward, it dispersed Feng Shen's flame domain. Chen Shang was also shocked. If he did not rely on an array formation to use such a terrifying spatial energy, then he would definitely need the strength of the Supreme God. On top of the platform was a purple-clothed female sitting in a meditative pose. She looked extremely weak, but her arrogance did not weaken at all. She immediately saw Chen Shang, and her purple eyes flashed with a strange light. These Empyrean gods had actually joined forces to use powerful formation discs to flee to this place. The war god shrine was paying close attention to the movements of the grass in the area. When Feng Shen released his flame domain, it created quite a big commotion and was discovered in an instant. The group of god were also capable, and quickly confirmed that Feng Shen had discovered Chen Shang, so they hurried over to see if they could catch Chen Shang alive, and throw him onto the stage. Feng Shen said coldly, "This is my fight. Whoever interferes will be my enemy." Bai Zan's son, young Master Yuan, was actually killed by him. He also wanted to help Chen Shang now, but he was a pill god with status after all, so he knew that there was no reason for Feng Shen to interfere since he was the first one to notice it. Even if he were to defeat Feng Shen now, it would be difficult for him to escape. The pill gods who were initially looking for the 9 oddities divine fruit are all here, not to mention the battle god hall, the fire divine palace and the wealth divine palace. These main heavenly goddess were all of the same strength as the devil-killing heavenly god. Other than that, there were also the few divine gods sent by the Hell Devil Emperor, staring at the scene like tigers stalking their prey. Today, it was impossible for Chen Shang to escape even if he had wings, so all the gods present were secretly rejoicing in their hearts. He wanted to catch hold of the successor of the ancient poison, Bai Ziqian, and even encountered Chen Shang, the little kid who had mastered many taboo magics. Chen Shang looked at the Dan God Yi and Yi Qin in the distance and asked, "Were you surrounding and annihilating me as well?" Dan God Yi shook his head. "I won't attack." The other pill gods, including the Dan God in blue costume, also expressed their opinions. They were just here to watch a show. Although Chen Shang looked to be in a difficult situation to escape from, they had already decided not to pursue this matter with Chen Shang. Chen Shang looked around, but did not see Huang Jintian. His heart immediately calmed down a lot, because Huang Jintian did not follow him, but instead went to look for reinforcements. It was very possible that he went to the devil-killing divine palace to look for the devil-killing heavenly god, and was the only expert who could help him out of his predicament. "Feng Shen, he just crippled your son, so you cripple him and hand him to me." Unwearying fighting Dan God shouted from afar, his voice carried anger. When he looked at Chen Shang, his wolf-like eyes were flickering with killing intent, adding to the pressure Chen Shang felt in his heart. "I'll try my best." On the other hand, unwearying fighting Dan God was an important elder of the war god shrine. He was an expert of the same generation as the god of fortune, and a pill god at that. If not for the god of fortune being present, he probably wouldn't have had the chance to fight Chen Shang today. Chen Shang looked at the god of fortune in the distance. Behind the god of fortune, there stood a man with wooden expression and empty eyes. He was precisely the ice dragon who had been taken in as a mount. Now that he had tormented them to such an extent, Chen Shang and Long Shui became even more furious, and what made him vent his anger was to kill the Feng Shen. Chen Shang lowered his head to look at the god-slaughtering sword in his hand, and actually started to tremble. He didn't know if he was afraid or excited, but he gently caressed the sword's body, feeling the protruding rust on the sword, in order to soothe the god-slaughtering sword. Suddenly, not far away from the barrier, a spatial ripple appeared and another large group of people teleported over. Chen Shang turned to look, only to see a group of beautiful women dressed in white. The leading one was dressed in a white robe. The woman was wearing a white robe. Her eyes flashed with a cold light as she stared at Chen Shang. This was actually the divine female palaces, and the leading lady was the divine female palace's palace mistress. A few of the great temple's disciples had all come, whether it was the main heavenly god or their disciples. Now, only the devil-killing divine palace hadn't come. "Are you here to help him or to watch a show?" Unwearying fighting Dan God immediately asked with a harsh tone. If it was to help Chen Shang, even if it was his own divine female palace, he would definitely not let him off. Goddess Palace leader looked at Chen Shang, then looked at Bai Ziqian, and said with a clear and cold voice, "Our divine female palace is a member of the all-divine palaces. I am only fulfilling my promise back then. When necessary, I will work with everyone to eliminate the villains on the platform." "Alright, if we push Chen Shang onto the killing platform, will you help too?" The unwearying fighting Dan God asked again. Yes. Goddess Palace leader's attitude was so firm that Chen Shang couldn't help but frown. He remembered that he didn't have any grudges with divine female palace. Even the Dan God Yi did not understand why the Goddess Palace leader, who had always been indifferent to worldly affairs, would now become like this. Dan God Yi sighed and said to Goddess Palace leader, "From today onwards, Kanur will no longer be a disciple of divine female palace. The grudge between your divine female palace and Chen Shang has nothing to do with Kanur." "Up to you," Goddess Palace leader coldly replied. Chapter 1895. There was definitely something wrong with this Goddess Palace leader. Everyone present could see that, and even the group of disciples and elders who came with her slightly frowned. They all suddenly felt that they did not recognize their hall master. Chen Zhang's current pressure was not impossible, but he could only try his best to remain calm. The most important thing for him to do now was to defeat the Feng Shen before him, and even if he died, he would at least drag her down with him. But he did not want to die, because if he died, he would not be able to save Bai Ziqian. You must die. Chen Shang pointed his sword at Feng Shen, and said this word by word with confidence. The god-slaughtering sword in his hand trembled slightly, and a terrifying god-killing sword roared out, transforming into a form of energy that danced around like a dragon. This kind of terrifying god-killing sword made all the sword-wielding experts present inexplicably tremble. Many of the old gods here had come into contact with the sword god who was famous for his god-murdering sword techniques before. They were extremely familiar with this kind of god-killing sword. However, the god-killing sword that Chen Shang had released was actually even more terrifying than the sword gods. Chen Shang found out from Yue that the divine deity he fused with came from a rancor called the Six Dao's Divine Monarch. These Six Dao's Divine Monarchs were closely related to the Six Dao's Divine Kings, and they were even too powerful a god. If he allowed him to become a upper heavenly god, I'm afraid he would be even more terrifying than the sword god back then. Dan Godye frowned. I wonder if he will be able to escape this calamity today. If he could, then these great shrines would definitely not have a good day in the future. Dan God in blue costume sighed. Looks like we shouldn't rely on these great halls anymore. It's not good to fight and kill all day long, implicate us in it. If the Devil Slayer suddenly pops up, and thinks that we are too inferior, getting beaten up by him won't be good. Amongst the pill gods, only the unwearying fighting Dan god was the most warlike. The other pill gods spent most of their time cultivating and refining pills. Because they could refine divine pills, they had a high chance of becoming supreme gods, so they rarely participated in this kind of battle. When the Feng god saw Chen Shang becoming serious and releasing this god-killing sword that he was extremely familiar with, he could not help but feel fear in his heart. Back then, when the sword god was proud of the god realm, he was only a little god. The one who died was you. Feng Shen gave a stern shout, his eyes burning. The flames on the sword in his hand roared out like dragons. Feng Shen's figure flashed and appeared right above Chen Shang. The flaming sword in his hand transformed into an angry dragon that charged down like lightning, releasing a thunderous roar that resonated throughout the sky, and lingered for a long time. When the fire dragon lightning appeared, everyone did so, especially Fire Divine Palace who was extremely familiar with flames. He was dumbstruck because this was the divine flame heavenly dragon flash that they were very familiar with. This can only be performed with 4 divine deity. Didn't Feng Shen only have 3 divine deity? Even if it was the body of the upper heavenly god, it would still break after being hit. An old man from the Fire Divine Palace said anxiously. When the fire dragon lightning descended, Chen Shang actually dodged it. However, Feng Shen didn't just send one, he also continuously waved his sword, causing the fire dragon lightning to rain down in a concentrated rain. The continuous sounds shook the air, causing the crowd to hear the sound of jars ringing unceasingly. Huge pits of fire were formed on the ground as well, and the intense heat was spread all over the place. The fire dragon shrine penetrated deep into the ground, causing lava to spurt out. Chen Shang was only able to dodge one attack, and was then struck continuously, and the resistance of his body made all the rancors present embarrassed. Upper Heavenly God was extremely afraid of the divine flame celestial dragon flash, but when it landed on Chen Zhang's body, it seemed to only cause him to clench his teeth, and that was all. On a closer look, every time the fire dragon lightning descended, a layer of red would quickly surface on Chen Zhang's body, because it was also the fire dragon lightning that had struck him down at that time, so it was very hard to see clearly, but it was exactly because of this layer that he was able to use his flesh to withstand this terrifying divine flame heavenly dragon flash. What's that? Everyone had their own questions, so Chen Shang deliberately let out his strange flame light to complement with the divine flame heavenly dragon flash. However, most of the people present were gods, so they could be seen with a single glance. Chen Shang was using the heavenly spirit kung fu, and he was currently using the scorching sun celestial phenomenon within the celestial phenomenon art. The heavenly spirit kung fu could make his body instantly become like a scorching sun, so no matter how hot the flames were, they would not be able to harm him. Chen Shang was initially worried about Feng Shen's crazy and fierce attacks, but now he realized that the heavenly spirit kung fu was much more powerful than he had imagined. It could actually withstand an attack of this level with ease. Use the 6 realms power in coordination with my ice laws. Prepare to counterattack. Long Shui sent a sound transmission to Chen Shang. I have the laws of ice, so I can use a very strong power of ice. Chen Shang immediately felt the profound meaning of the ice laws. This was all because he and Long Shui had been fusing for many years and cultivated divine soul together, allowing him to have such a perfect fusion right now, allowing him to sense the profound meaning of the other party's laws. Chen Shang was currently unable to use the spatial laws, because there were many strong Empyrean gods working together to set up a barrier as well as a few large formation plates surrounding him, causing his power to be greatly weakened. If he was able to use the spatial laws at will, he would basically be invincible. Chen Zhang's arm suddenly emitted cold air, as he punched towards the attacking divine flame celestial dragon. Everyone was confused, because Chen Zhang's body could completely defend against this kind of attack, there was no need to block it. But in the next instant, they immediately understood, but then immediately found it hard to understand. Because the moment Chen Zhang's cold fist struck towards the divine flame celestial dragon's light, the entire lightning fire dragon that was hacking down was actually frozen solid. The strong cold power was actually able to freeze a useless object like the fire dragon lightning, and it instantly spread to the body of Feng Shen. He was instantly covered by a thick layer of ice. God-murdering sword techniques, profound truths of time. When Chen Shang opened his eyes, his surroundings became extremely slow in his eyes. Only he could move at a normal time, and he even increased his speed, instantly flying to the front of the frozen Feng Shen. The surging of the Six Realms' power allowed his physical body to wield even more power, allowing the god-slaughtering sword in his hands to release an even more terrifying sword intent. He stabbed forward, penetrating the layer of ice and piercing towards the forehead of Feng Shen. Unexpectedly, a flash flashed between Feng Shen's eyebrows, and a burst of intense flames erupted, shattering the layer of ice that sealed him. This guy actually has a soul-protecting talisman. Long Shui snorted. I've missed a chance. Chen Zhang's profound truths of time had disappeared, and the surrounding area had recovered. Feng Shen had also distanced himself from Chen Shang with his fastest speed, and it had been extremely dangerous just now. Chapter 1896. The entire Ice Snow God Hall felt that the icy cold power that could directly freeze fire and lightning was extremely inconceivable. They immediately thought of the Ice Law, and only by grasping the mysteries of the Ice Law would they be able to do so. Continue. Although this fellow uses fire, my Ice Laws are able to restrain him now. He doesn't have the fire laws, so he can't do anything to my Ice Laws. Long Shui said, use a large area of the mysteries of ice. That was in order to prevent something like that from happening. If not for this item, Chen Shang might have already killed Feng Shen. In the blink of an eye, Chen Shang had changed the situation. The god of fortune frowned, and suddenly became worried. Chen Shang was already a god of heaven, but he was still just a lower god. Because he was able to wield the god-murdering sword techniques, he was able to unleash the terrifying sword which almost killed the Feng god. The ground was filled with craters filled with flowing lava. It should have been extremely hot, but at this moment, a chilly wind blew past. Everyone in the barrier felt a strange cold sensation. It was emitted from Chen Zhang's body. A burst of pale white flames suddenly emerged from Chen Zhang's body, and a thin layer of frost also surfaced on the outside of his body. This was the battlefield where Long Shui had fallen in the past, and now, Chen Shang definitely could not let her fall once again. He actually had to carve a path out for himself no matter what, and bring Bai Ziqian along to leave this place alive. The originally blue sky was suddenly covered by thick clouds and cold wind. Waves of cold air came from who knows where, and the ground was dyed white in an instant. The super god restricted area which had been melted by the snow seemed to return to its original state. This confused the experts. Some of the older Empyrean gods seemed to have noticed something. The young man's face suddenly changed as he cried out, not good. Just as the god of fortune was about to rush out, a dragon's roar thundered in his ears. The originally dull ice dragon suddenly roared and turned into a huge white ice dragon. It continuously roared furiously as it floated in the air. Old Bing, this is your supreme dragon blood. Take it. Long Shui's voice reverberated between heaven and earth. The ice dragon's supreme dragon blood had always been in Long Shui's hands. Back then, when it was taken away by a group of old dragons, it was difficult for the ice dragon to improve in the god's realm. And just now, Chen Shang had used a miraculous method to release the ice dragon's supreme dragon blood, because he knew that the ice dragon was a member of the Beast Divine Palace back then, and would definitely be like Long Shui, who was also a god. When the ice dragon felt the supreme dragon blood, his sealed power disappeared. Because he was enslaved, in order to prevent himself from living in pain every day, he chose to temporarily seal his own memories to make himself look as if he didn't have a soul. And now, he had been awakened by the supreme dragon blood. At the same time that he undid the seal, he had also awakened the memories of the supreme god's era. As the ice dragons danced in the air, the cold energy that had formed between heaven and earth gradually disappeared, being completely absorbed by the ice dragons. Kill! Chen Shang and Long Shui agreed as they shouted softly. He did not need to worry about anyone stopping him now, as all of this was blocked by the ice dragon. Although Feng Shen was shocked, he was not afraid. He immediately released a flame domain, but the moment this flame domain appeared, it was immediately sealed and shattered by the ice magic Chen Shang had released. I am now a member of the Four Divine Soul. Chen Shang sneered, and his body transformed into a gust of wind and snow, enveloping Feng Shen. Feng Shen's body was once again frozen. Unwearying fighting Dan God, quickly make your move. The god of fortune looked at the incomparably furious ice dragon in the sky and charged forward. At this critical moment, his concern was actually not about the divine aura, but about catching the fleeing mount instead. Too late. After Chen Shang had frozen the Feng god, the profound truths of time immediately appeared. The god's slaughtering sword was already right in front of the center of the Feng god's brows. Chen Shang currently did indeed have 4 extremely powerful divine soul, which was equivalent to 4 divine deity from a god, and was much stronger than the 3 divine deity upper heavenly goddess. Especially now, when he could perfectly fuse with Long Shui, and also use his own 6 realms power to complement Long Shui's ice laws, he was incomparably terrifying. After using it for a while, Chen Shang got used to Long Shui's power inside the divine sense sea and became familiar with her 2 divine souls. Once the god-murdering sword techniques was unleashed, it was as if time had come to a standstill and only Chen Shang was allowed to move. If the god-slaughtering sword could be channeled into the 6 realms power, then it would be even more terrifying, but it was enough to kill Feng Shen right now. Chen Zhang's god-slaughtering sword pierced through the center of the phoenix god's brows. This time, it went extremely smoothly without any obstructions. Don't take his divine deity, kill him is more important, don't waste any time. Long Shui was worried that something might happen, and quickly warned Chen Shang. Chen Shang understood what he meant as an endless stream of 6 realms power flowed out of the god-slaughtering sword and poured into the divine sense sea. Like a surging torrent, it brought along a burst of heaven-refined energy, and fell onto the divine sense sea like a blazing sun descending to the ground. Boom! Amongst the divine sense sea of the Feng Shen clan, the sea of divine power was attacked so fiercely and fearfully that even the 3 divine souls were unable to escape, as they were all enveloped by Chen Zhang's god-killing sword. The divine sea power and the boundless divine power contained in the divine deity were ignited by Chen Shang, causing a very intense explosion. A layer of the heavenly body's ice and snow constellation instantly appeared around Chen Zhang's body, causing his body to become extremely stiff. The god of fortune who had just flown into the air was stunned as he saw the tragic explosion below and the disappearance of the life force of the Feng Shen. Everyone present were stunned. Unwearying fighting Dan God who was rushing over had no choice but to retreat in order to avoid the explosion. Feng Shen was dead, and was killed by Chen Shang, which was extremely shocking. In the beginning, everyone believed that Chen Shang would be crippled by Feng Shen, but now, he was the one who died. He died such a miserable death that even his divine soul had dissipated. Right now, everyone was even more afraid of the god-murdering sword techniques, because Chen Shang, a lowly god, had relied on this sword technique to kill past the 2 stages of apocalypse. Chen Shang, even though he knew that Feng Shen was at a disadvantage, he never thought that Feng Shen would be killed by Chen Shang. The moment he arrived here, he was already very sure that Chen Shang didn't have the chance to turn the situation around. Chen Shang had fused with Long Shui, obtaining a powerful strength after the ice dragon's awakening. This was something that no one present had expected. The violent explosion actually shattered the barrier. Upper heavenly god's body exploding was actually so terrifying. After all, those were 4 divine deities and a sea of divine power. After the barrier shattered, Chen Shang immediately flashed to the side of the stage and called upon the 6 realms power inside the 6 realms mirrors. He instantly extracted most of the 6 realms power on his body and used a spatial teleportation technique to force Bai Ziqian, who was sealed inside, out. Bai Ziqian's entire body was filled with wounds, his entire body was filled with poison, and at the moment, he no longer had the strength to fight. Chen Shang carried her in his embrace and said gently, "Relax, everything is all right." Chapter 1897. Seeing Chen Shang bringing Bai Ziqian out, all the rankers were extremely shocked. Bai Ziqian had obtained the inheritance of the ancient poison god king, and he held a grudge against them. This meant that he had a much greater potential threat than Chen Shang. This time, other than the pill god who did not attack Chen Shang, the other gods and profound god all released a powerful force that entered into the formation plate and released a spatial seal that enveloped Chen Shang. Chen Shang and Bai Ziqian could not leave. I want to stay with you, don't let me go alone. Bai Ziqian hugged Chen Shang because she could already tell what kind of major decision Chen Shang was about to make. You must leave, you must take revenge. Chen Shang had already expected that this group of experts would immediately seal him, and the strength on his body was only enough to allow one person to walk far. If two people were to enter, the distance would be very short. Even if the two of them were to leave together, they would very quickly be caught up, because Chen Shang was going to exhaust all the six realms' power in the divine sense sea. Earlier, when he removed Bai Ziqian from the seal above the stage, he had expended a lot of six realms' power. If there was only one person passing through the spatial passageway, it would be further away and Bai Ziqian would be safer. Let's go. When the six realms' power in Chen Zhang's body surged, the Bai Ziqian in his arms was also sucked into the spatial passageway. Bai Ziqian's purple eyes were teardrops, but they were also filled with incomparable hatred. Her venomous voice echoed in the air, causing the elderly Empyrean gods to tremble. This was the successor of the ancient poison god, yet he had actually escaped. If he were to become a supreme god in the future, they would definitely die. You can kill Feng Shen, but you can't kill me. At this time, the unwearying fighting Dan god did not dare to attack alone. The Hall Master of the War God Shrine charged up with him, but they did not enter the barrier. Because even going in and out of the barrier that sealed Chen Shang was impossible. If he opened the barrier, Chen Shang might be able to escape. In the air, the God of Fortune and the Ice Dragon were engaged in a great battle. The Ice Dragon had yet to completely absorb the energy gained from the awakening, but it was still on par with the God of Fortune. Chen Shang sat on the ground. Both his and Long Shui's energy had been exhausted. As long as Chen Shang fused with 7 Chaos Fire Token S, he would be able to summon the terrifying 9 Heaven Devil Palace. It's the Chaos Fire Token. Run! An old man from the Ice and Snow Palace screamed. His voice was filled with fear. Chen Shang did not start to fuse with the rest of the Chaos Fire Token. He was still safe now as the barrier that sealed him was very strong and it was impossible to attack him from the outside and he could not go out either. If he wanted to prevent Chen Shang from fusing with the Chaos Fire Token, he would have to open the barrier first. However, once the barrier was opened, Chen Shang might just slip away again. Some of the elderly gods present had long known that Chen Shang possessed a Chaos Fire Token, but they had forgotten about it, because Chen Shang rarely used it anyway. Chen Shang had always been curious about the legendary 9 Heaven Devil Palace. Even though he took out 7 Chaos Fire Token S and was about to fuse with the rest, he did not want to, as many seniors had repeatedly reminded him that without sufficient strength, he could not summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace out. Summoning the 9 Heaven Devil Palace out, as the summoner, he would definitely be sucked in. The group of gods knew the 9 Heaven Devil Palace much better than Chen Shang. Seeing the 7 terrifying Chaos Fire Token S, they scattered like a swarm of bees, and even the God of Fortune, who was fighting with the Ice Dragon in the air, had no choice but to stop and flee. Chen Shang, who was sitting on the platform, let out a breath of relief. He put away the 7 Chaos Fire Token S and laid on his back, then said weakly, "That was close, I almost walked onto this path." A white light fell from the sky as the Ice Dragon appeared on top of the platform. He had already broken free from the God of Fortune's clutches, and was now in a very spirited state. He looked young and handsome. I didn't expect so many things to happen. The Ice Dragon looked at the marks left after the fierce battle in its surroundings and sighed, then looked at Chen Shang who was lying on the ground. Chen Shang had already used up a lot of energy. He never thought that the group of gods would actually be so afraid of the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. He had already prepared to die, who knew that the moment he took out the Chaos Fire Token, the gods would run faster than anyone else. Hurry up and bring me away, I'm worried that those guys will run back with their lives on the line. Chen Shang said to the Ice Dragon, then told the Ice Dragon the location he wanted to teleport Bai Ziqian to. The Ice Dragon brought Chen Shang and quickly left. They were still in the Super God restricted area because Chen Shang was still here searching for his friends. Not long after Chen Shang left, the group of divine gods returned as expected, adding another strong divine god like them, who was also Hell Devil Emperor. The Hell Devil Emperor saw that the platform was empty, and snorted coldly, "You guys missed a chance to run. Chen Shang has Chaos Fire token and is unable to summon him out, because he doesn't have the Supreme God Bone that 9 Divine Kings refined, and the only one that does have the Supreme God Bone is Feng Yuji, but the Chaos Fire token has most likely already been merged by Chen Shang, so the 9 Heaven Devil Palace won't appear again. Who knows? If they knew, Chen Shang would have died long ago. I never thought that he would mess with me." The God of Fortune was extremely furious, because Feng Shen, one of his 4 great disciples, had actually been killed by Chen Shang. Of course he would not be sad. He only felt that it was very embarrassing. The disciple that he painstakingly nurtured was actually so useless. Devil-killing heavenly God will arrive shortly, so it would be best for us to find Chen Shang before he arrives. He should still be here. The Hell Devil Emperor actually did not continue their fight, he had rushed over just in time to capture Chen Shang. It was the ice dragon that took him away. "We can feel its aura right now. Chase after it," the God of Fortune said as he looked in a direction. The fire god shook his head, "Don't go that way. Chen Shang is very cunning, he wouldn't leave behind such an obvious aura." The Hell Devil Emperor who had come into contact with Chen Shang agreed quickly and nodded, "But we still have to go take a look. Let's split up and chase them from different directions. Who will be in charge of this direction with the aura of the ice dragon?" When Hell Devil Emperor asked this question, it proved that he would not walk in this direction. He believed that Chen Shang and the ice dragon had left these questions behind to confuse them. "Allow me." Goddess Palace leader walked out and said coldly. Hell Devil Emperor nodded at her. From his eyes, she could tell that he knew this Goddess Palace leader. The path that Goddess Palace leader had taken right now was the path that the ice dragon had taken with Chen Shang. The ice dragon was indeed not cautious enough, and even the exhausted Chen Shang did not notice. Chapter 1898. The ice dragon's speed was extremely fast. It flew with Chen Shang for more than an hour before it finally saw Bai Ziqian, lying on the ground. Her body was covered by a layer of purple mist, and through the hazy purple mist, one could see that she had opened her eyes. "Don't come over yet," Bai Ziqian shouted anxiously when he saw Chen Shang and the ice dragon walk over. Chen Shang was fine, but Bai Ziqian was a lot more at ease. After she was sent away by Chen Shang, she had suppressed her anger to the point where she couldn't wait to kill the group of God. Bai Ziqian let that layer of purple mist dissipate, then she stood up. Her complexion looked much better, she was using some strange poison to treat her injuries, that's why she made Chen Shang and the others stay away from her. "How are you now?" She had received many favors from Chen Shang and Chen Shang was already a very important person in her life. "It's nothing, I just used up too much energy. I'll recover soon." Chen Shang laughed. "What about you?" "I'm much better." After Bai Ziqian finished speaking, he frowned. "Aren't you guys trying to hide the cold chi? They got beaten up and ran away." Hearing Bai Ziqian's words, the ice dragon finally realized with a guilty face. "Don't say any more, hurry up and leave," Bai Ziqian anxiously said. The ice dragon nodded its head and took out a flying disc for Chen Shang and Bai Ziqian to sit on. Then, it turned into a white light and flew towards the direction that Chen Shang had pointed. Chen Shang held the beautifully carved jade tiger in his hand and frowned. The direction is always changing, could it be that he is moving around everywhere? Even though the ice dragon had been sealed from before, he still had the memories and was very familiar with many things. "How's it going at Devil Killing Divine Palace?" the ice dragon asked. "When you've recovered, let's go take a look." Chen Shang said. "Right now, I am going to look for my friends in Devil Killing Heavenly God. There are a few here, they should be very strong, as long as I can find them." The ice dragon nodded. "Where's Shui Yi? How is she now?" "She's sleeping, she's tired now." They never thought that their powers would increase by so much. It was just that it would be difficult to deal with an old god like the God of Fortune. Bai Ziqian kept a distance from Chen Shang and the others because she was covered in poison. She was worried that Chen Shang and the ice dragon would be poisoned. "Sister Ziqian, how did you obtain the inheritance of the ancient poison god king?" Chen Shang asked. "What about Sister Yu and Sister Meiyao?" "They went to look for Qilian. When I was with them, I had already inherited the legacy of the ancient poison god king. The two of them found a dilapidated divine hall," Bai Ziqian said. Chen Shang was secretly delighted that they had such a fortuitous encounter. He said, "Ziqian, you should go find Qilian and the others. Be safe and accompany them." Bai Ziqian shook his head. I'm worried that my ancient poison will hurt them, and right now, my situation has already spread far and wide. At that time, even the primordial gods in the Supreme Divine Palace would have to take action. Those supreme gods have their own ways of doing so. If they were to find me, I will implicate them. Chen Shang could understand Bai Ziqian's worry, and it was the same for him back then. You can't do it like this. How about you enter my dark jade ring? Shui Yi is inside too. Chen Shang said. Right now, you are running all over the place. There will be a day when you will be caught. Bai Ziqian thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. She had also entered the serene jade ring before. The environment inside was also not bad. She had just received the inheritance of the ancient poison god king. She still needed time to familiarize herself with it. Bai Ziqian had already entered the ring to recuperate, while Chen Shang was cultivating her divine arts to recover her 6 realms power. The 6 realms mirrors had already been exhausted, and it would take another month for her to be reborn. In a situation where he did not have any pellets, his recovery was extremely slow. Fortunately, he was not injured, so if his divine soul were to suffer any more damage, it would take even longer to recover. The green dragon is in divine prison. I wonder how he is doing. The ice dragon stood atop the frisbee, staring at the blue sky in the distance, frowning. It was because of him that the azure dragon had been locked in the divine prison. Dan Emperor is dead, Chen Shang said. The ice dragon already knew. Grief flashed across its eyes and it nodded. You have already avenged him. Chen Shang said. All of this was caused by the god of fortune. The ice dragon sighed. He isn't the god of fortune, the true god of fortune is inside the divine prison, this is a fake. Hearing this, Chen Shang was immediately shocked. He had long known that the god of fortune had a problem, it was just that he did not expect him to be a fake, and the true god of fortune had been imprisoned in the divine prison, there must be a conspiracy behind it. What's going on? Chen Shang was very suspicious about this. After he thought about it, he suddenly thought about how Yang Yan had told him that the god of illusion had already sent Yang Yan and his son to the divine prison because of his master's attitude towards the god of wealth. Shining God was the god of fortune's disciple, but he wasn't like the god of fortune, who even let Yang Yan and the others know that he disliked the god of fortune. It seemed like divinity also knew about it. The true god of fortune was imprisoned in the divine prison many years ago, and the current god of fortune is just a replica. He is a powerful force who used extremely brilliant methods and copied down a god of fortune from the beginning. When the ice dragon said this, Chen Shang thought of the 9 divine nations that Long Shui had told him about. The god of fortune controlled the wealth of the god's realm. They controlled the god of fortune, which was equivalent to controlling a large portion of the god's realm's power. Chen Shang thought about the hall master of the divine female palace again and he realized that something was wrong. Chen Shang felt that the goddess palace leader should be a fake one as well, just like the replicator of the younger 9 girls back then. So highest old devil is related to that power as well. Chen Shang more or less understood that the control of the younger 9 girl was related to that power, and the disappearance of the 9 divine kings was also related to that. The ice dragon said, Shui Yi should have already told you this. Once their puppets lose their power in God's realm, they will attack. Of course, one highest devil god is enough to give us a headache. Currently, Chen Shang was sure that the divine nations as puppets had the god of fortune, the goddess palace leader the battle shrine and the fire divine palace He had yet to confirm, but even if they weren't, they were still fellow evildoers. They've caught up. They actually dare to come back. The ice dragon shouted in shock. It looked behind it and saw a group of women riding flying discs. They were quickly chasing after them. Chen Shang also did not understand. Previously, he was scared to the point that he had to run, but now, he had caught up to the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. We have to get rid of them quickly. They should be chasing us separately. It would be bad if they inform the other shrines. Chen Shang said. Chapter 1899. The ice dragon increased the speed of the frisbee, but the distance between them gradually decreased. This goddess palace leader was truly worthy of being the puppet placed inside the god's realm. He had been hiding his strength for many years, but now that it had erupted, it was actually this terrifying. Chen Shang said to the ice dragon, attack, freeze them. Don't worry about me, they can't do anything to me. The ice dragon turned into a streak of white light and soared into the sky. It became a huge dragon, covered in ice. The ice dragon hovered in the sky, roaring and spitting waves of ice at the group of divine female palace women. This time, I want you to become my mount. Goddess palace leader shouted coldly. He soared into the sky and shot out rays of blue light from his slender sword towards the ice dragon. Only the Hall Master could move. She was anxious to catch Chen Shang, but it was impossible for her to get close to Chen Shang without taking care of the ice dragon. Chen Shang took the chance and used the little bit of 6 realms power he had recovered to teleport to the side of the girls who were sealed in ice. After the goddess palace leader saw this, she suddenly started to worry, wanting to fly towards Chen Zhang's direction. However, the ice dragon would not let her succeed. She anxiously blocked it, and once again fiercely fought with her in the air. Although the group of girls were frozen, they could still see the outside clearly from inside. When Chen Shang got closer, they were extremely shocked. They understood Chen Zhang's methods very well. You all should be unhappy with your Hall Master as well. I'll tell you the truth, your Hall Master is a fake, and there's a chance that the real Hall Master no longer exists. There should be a few Empyrean gods amongst you who are suspicious. Chen Shang sent a sound transmission to them. These girls were only following orders. They knew that there were a few elders who were suspicious at the time, but those elders were secretly expelled from the divine female palace. In the end, quite a few of them went missing. Through the layers of ice, Chen Shang could see the expressions of the girls and confirmed his guess. He continued, I won't hurt you, I will only temporarily imprison you. After a while I will release you guys. I believe you all don't like this kind of fight, and even more so don't wish to become the tool of a puppet. The purpose of Divine Female Palace was to not participate in this dispute, but after cultivating in seclusion for so many years, he had become a different person. Chen Shang used the power within the 6 realms mirrors and temporarily sealed them within it. They were now like stones, and were easily brought inside. Seeing the dozens of women who were frozen suddenly disappear, the fake Hall Master was furious, but he could do nothing about it because the ice dragon was also very strong. It could fight on par with the god of fortune, so of course it was not easy to deal with. Chen Shang was still extremely weak at the moment. The number of 6 realms power in the divine sense sea was pitifully small, and he did not have any recovery pills. That's the only way. Chen Shang sat cross-legged on the ground and activated his heavenly alchemy, causing the surrounding land and mountains to quickly teleport over. Right now, he no longer had any concerns, madly refining the mountains and rivers into pure energy for him to absorb, quickly recovering his 6 realms power. In the past, many seniors had warned him that he could not use the heavenly alchemy in such a way, and that it would incur the wrath of the heavens. However, he felt that such a thing would never happen, and that the so-called heavenly slaves were probably just those angry divine nations. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of mountains appeared in a flash and entered the gigantic magic method furnace released by Chen Shang. In an instant, they turned into energy and entered Chen Zhang's divine sense sea. In merely a few moments, thousands of tall mountains and the surrounding 100 kilometers of land were all engulfed by Chen Shang. What was even more terrifying was that an enormous white star suddenly appeared in the sky. This star was even larger than 10 cities. Under the pressure of the sky, the surface of the star constantly flickered with gaseous flames, releasing a large amount of pure star power. From the distance, Chen Shang could clearly see the seed falling down. It was brought here by the use of the heavenly alchemy. The heavenly alchemy could refine all living things in the world, but the refining star could obtain enormous energy the fastest. This kid, the ice dragon, was floating in mid-air and seeing countless huge, multicolored stars falling rapidly from above. It was extremely shocked. Qi had used the same technique back then, but it had brought about painful consequences. Chen Shang trained in the 6 realms power, so this was the only way to quickly replenish it. These formed were not ordinary little stars. When they fell to the ground, the towering mountains were as small as ants compared to them. Heavenly smelting star. Chen Zhang's magic method furnace grew even larger, enveloping the stars one by one. The terrifying thing happened, and in the blink of an eye, all of the stars, which were so large that they couldn't breathe, were enveloped by a layer of flames and turned to powder. Then it quickly shrunk inward and entered the core formation stage. The moment they were about to condense into a pill, Chen Shang controlled the dozen or so stellar divine pills to suddenly collide against each other. The explosions that occurred when they collided allowed the quality of the energy to increase to the greatest extent. A dozen or so stars clashed into one cauldron, and after a quick contraction, it condensed into the size of a watermelon, appearing in front of Chen Shang. Just thinking about it made him feel scared. With over 10 giant stars being compressed to such a small degree, the quality was definitely extremely shocking. They were definitely able to reach the divine pill level. The ice dragon and goddess palace leader continued to fight, but the shock in their hearts was still unable to dissipate. This was the first time they had ever seen such a method of refining pills, and it was simply too shocking. There are countless stars in the sky. Even if I refine hundreds of billions of stars, the stars will still be so bright. Chen Xiang was not worried at all. The magic method furnace floating in front of him glowed with a deep blue light, and the watermelon-sized cyclone contracted again, condensing into a normal-sized pellet. The pellet looked as beautiful as a sapphire pellet. After Chen Xiang ate it, he circulated the 6 realms magic kung fu and heavenly alchemy and quickly refined this pellet. In the midst of his exhausted divine sense C, the 6 realms power gradually rose back up. The speed at which it was being restored was visible to the naked eye, causing a smile to appear on his face. Just as Chen Xiang was smiling, the ice dragon suddenly shouted, "They are here, get ready." Of course, the ones mentioned by the ice dragon were the god of fortune and the hell devil emperor. However, this time, the pill gods did not follow them. Although he was not afraid of causing trouble while watching the show, if he were to be dragged into it, it could only be said that he was reaping the consequences for himself. Chen Xiang opened his eyes and saw a group of aggressive gods flying towards him from the sky. Among them, the Hell Devil Emperor was the most glaring. With a black robe, his fiendish face was filled with killing intent, a wave of evil chi surged out, no one dared to approach him, and he was also rushing to the front. Chapter 1900. When Hell Devil Emperor and his group of divine gods arrived, their imposing manner was like an enormous wave that pushed forward. Chen Xiang currently stood at the bottom of a 10,000-meter high wave. Infernal Domain. Hell Devil Emperor turned into a black shadow and flashed. Chen Xiang and the ice dragon were enveloped in a light black transparent domain. No wonder he could stay with devil-killing divine palace for such a long time. In the past, devil-killing heavenly god had a godly technique to suppress the power of demons, so he was basically not devil-killing heavenly god's opponent. But now, he could actually fight with the devil-killing heavenly god at the same level. Chen Xiang, die! The unwearying fighting Dan god roared and flew forward, already flying in front of the Hell Devil Emperor. Hell Devil Emperor shouted coldly, "Come back." But unwearying fighting Dan god did not care about him. He continued to fly forward, with Hell Devil Emperor extending his hand. A black shadow flashed out from his arm and hit unwearying fighting Dan god's body, sticking onto him and pulling him back. "You can't kill him yet." Evil aura surged from Hell Devil Emperor's body. Although the unwearying fighting Dan god that he brought back was furious, he did not dare to say anything else. This was because Hell Devil Emperor's strength had already deeply intimidated him. Hand over the 6 realms mirrors. The Hell Devil Emperor arrived in front of Chen Xiang in a flash, and did not attack him. The Ice Dragon and Goddess Palace leader had ended their battle. The Ice Dragon stood behind Chen Xiang, and the Goddess Palace leader stood behind the Hell Devil Emperor, staring angrily at Chen Xiang. Because Chen Xiang had hidden those goddesses that she had brought with him, she couldn't let Chen Xiang die either. The Hell Devil Emperor's infernal domain was extremely overbearing, causing the god of fortune and the other powerful gods to feel uneasy. This was because they were currently in someone else's domain and were unable to break through. Hell Devil Emperor's eyes brimmed with black aura as he exerted mental pressure on Chen Xiang. The other gods now understood why the Hell Devil Emperor could not let Chen Xiang die. This 6 realms mirrors was extremely important to them, and all the gods present knew it. "No, not even if I die," Chen Xiang replied very calmly. But when he punched towards his nose, he felt that it was soft. In that moment just now, Chen Xiang used the change in the tenacity and softness inside the 7 devil-slain kung fu to make his head go soft, so he did not receive any injuries at all, and Hell Devil Emperor only used the power of his flesh. 7 devil-slain kung fu. Hell Devil Emperor was furious the moment he saw the 7 devil-slain kung fu, because he had lost many times to it. Hell Devil Emperor retracted his fist and with a flash of black light, he punched towards Chen Zhang's nose once again. This time, Chen Zhang's head turned into a ball of mist and his fist directly rushed over, while Chen Zhang's body also instantly turned into mist and flew to the side before merging together once again. This was the cloud and cloud constellation of the heavenly body. It allowed the body to turn into a cloud to avoid attacks. Chen Xiang stood there motionlessly as he was being punched by the Hell Devil Emperor. The Hell Devil Emperor had punched him twice in a row, but Chen Xiang was completely fine. "You are about to die, don't make unnecessary struggles. If you hand over the 6 realms mirrors and listen to my orders, hand over the god-murdering sword techniques and the heavenly alchemy, and I can guarantee that you will live well in the future." Hell Devil Emperor took a deep breath and said. Chen Shang was indeed an extraordinary person. If he couldn't kill him, it would be best to subdue him. Chen Shang said, "Even if I die, I won't give it to you. This thing definitely cannot fall into your hands." The Six Realms mirrors was extremely important, and Chen Shang knew that the Hell Devil Emperor would not kill him. "Then I'll call until you give me one." Hell Devil Emperor roared in anger. His patience was limited, his fists had already turned blood red, the veins on them were extremely sinister looking, releasing a purple light, waves after waves of evil chi surged forth, filling the entire underworld domain with a terrifying demonic suppression. An ice sword appeared in the ice dragon's hand, and just as it was about to attack, the god of fortune hurriedly flew over. "You should just be an honest mount." The ice dragon got angry and began to fight with the god of fortune again. HMPH. Hell Devil Emperor suddenly flashed over. Her two fists that were filled with red fiends created a bloody afterimage of her fist, and swept towards Chen Shang like a gale. Chen Shang remained calm as he circulated the fierce sun heavenly elephant of the heavenly spirit Kung Fu, causing his body to become scorching hot and stiff, causing the evil energy that was invading his body to be cleansed under the intense sunlight. This move had an effect. Hell Devil Emperor's attack actually did not harm Chen Shang. Chen Shang did not plan to fight back at all, as long as he was not seriously injured. Although the situation was very serious, he had to delay as long as he could, so that he could refine the Star God pellet, and at that time, both he and Long Shui could recover a certain amount of energy. "Aren't you afraid that I'll summon the 9 Heaven Devil Palace?" After Chen Shang endured this attack, he said with a cold smile. "Is the only one who has a 9 Divine Kings, and you have fused with a few other Chaos Fire token, so the Chaos Fire token is already ineffective. It should have been used by Feng Yuji, but the 9 Heaven Devil Palace will never appear again." Hell Devil Emperor said with complete confidence. Chen Shang now understood why these group of God Realm warriors had been so afraid, but had now quickly caught up. It was because they had met the Hell Devil Emperor on the way, but after hearing his words, they dispelled their misgivings towards him and turned back. "I'll give it a try right now. If what you say is true, then with all of you accompanying me into that damn place, even if I die, I'll still laugh." Chen Shang immediately took out all of the Chaos Fire token. The Hell Devil Emperor did not stop him and laughed wildly. "The matter regarding the Chaos Fire token was told to me by the highest devil god. Back then, when we were manufacturing the Chaos Fire token, he also gave me some advice." The god of fortune and the others believed what the Hell Devil Emperor said, because they already knew that there was a god behind the Hell Devil Emperor, and this was something they knew. Chen Shang had already secretly sent a sound transmission to the Ice Dragon, telling him to prepare to leave. He believed that he could summon out the 9 Heaven Devil Palace, and he had only just learned of the fact that only Supreme God Bone with the 9 Divine Kings could summon out the 9 Heaven Devil Palace. The Ice Dragon didn't plan to leave, and he also planned to take a look at the 9 Heaven Devil Palaces. Because Chen Shang had helped him a lot, he wanted to accompany Chen Shang to the end. Chen Shang forced out a few drops of blood and poured them into the remaining Chaos Fire token. The protective sovereign light of the Chaos Fire token was extremely strong, but these gods had long prepared to block it. They all knew that it was this protective sovereign light that Chen Shang used to successfully kill enemies who were many times stronger than him.